Hey, kids. You're listening to the internet's wettest podcast about video games, consoles, and pancakes. The SML Podcast.
All right, we got everyone. That's good.
Did it.
Everyone's Skype worked.
We did it,
awesome.
Reddit.
Holy hell. I don't know what to do
Oh, wait,
now.
we have to check the stream, make sure it's working.
Well, like 2 days ago on Friday the 13th, I woke up to a black cat jumping on my head, so I think we're good to go.
Oh,
I
man.
have 3 black cats.
Yeah.
I only have one.
Mine's
but
always
you're-
good luck.
You're just borrowing Predator for me, and she's going to come live with me someday, because this is just, my house is like, if there's a black cat within 100 miles, it's mine now.
What I lack in black cats, I make up for in all my other cats.
I have no cats, so if I woke up to one jumping on my head, that would be a really big problem.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just love cats, but one's enough for me.
Oh, yeah, because I'm a big fan of cats, but I didn't start liking them until I was exposed to them through friends who already owned them. Because I used to have this misconception. Well, technically, it's not even a misconception. It's still true that you don't really own a cat so much.
Cat
Cat
owns
either
you.
owns you or they're like a very disagreeable roommate.
I mean, yes, but they're also very affectionate. It's not like those are mutually exclusive.
That's true. That's true. And I think that's what makes them still likable. Because, like, you'll be on one minute, you are, the cat's rubbing up. He's like, oh, adorable. I'm going to pet the cat. And the next minute, the cat's like, all right, I'm tired of this. And just, like, bats you away and walks off. Like, damn. Didn't see that coming.
But you know what I really love about having a cat is, like, I live in an apartment and she's an indoor cat, but somehow she has business of her own to do all day. So, like, even though, like, I'm sitting right there working, she's still, like, she comes and she visits with me. And then she goes off and does her own thing. And I feel like if I had a dog, they just want attention all the time.
100%.
Maybe it would be harder to work like that.
See, I have the 4 cats, but I also have 4 dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And I can tell you 100% that the cats have their moments of, oh, it's mom, come here, let me wallow you.
Mm-hmm.
But the dogs are just like, oh, you breathe. Let me show you everything I've ever seen in my life right now.
I will say this.
I
don't know. I guess I like that balance where you get some cuddles, but you also get some space.
But I will say with dogs, though, there's one added element that is forgotten usually with dogs, and that, like, I feel like older dogs are like the perfect level there because young puppy dogs, exactly like you said, they always want your attention. Let me look what I can do. Da da da. But with older dogs, the ones that are just like kind of comfortable being in their space, their whole shtick is like, I'm just glad you're here. I'm going to sleep on the floor in the corner. If you leave, just leave some food in the bowl and I'm covered,
Oh, yeah.
They're not
my cat's mellowed a lot as she's gotten older, too. She's like 14 now, and, she is super chill. She used to be pretty high-strung.
Our oldest dog is 7, and she spends most of her day, as long as you're around, she's pretty content. But she'll have these moments where she's just like, you sat down and now I need to be 2 centimeters from your face.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Isidore, I can't breathe. And she's like, here, I'll breathe for the both of us.
Oh, yeah.
It's like countless weeks on this show. I'm sitting here and my one cat Piddles will jump up on a little cat tower next to me and just start reaching out and pawing for my hand to start petting her.
Oh, that's pretty adorable.
You took that one video, which was hilarious, where you would do it, like you tap on the cat for a bit and then step back and the cat's like, wait, no, come back.
Yeah, it's on my Twitter. I have it
Piddles
pinned.
is far more respectable about requesting affection than Gabriel, because Gabriel will get up on my desk. He likes to lay in the wedge between my drawing monitor and my keyboard. And if I've got the keyboard pushed back, he will get in there and just gradually push the keyboard and wiggle. Gabriel weighs about 16 pounds. And he will wiggle and push, and he does not care if he knocks it the fuck off. But then he will lay down and he will stretch out all 4.5, 5 foot of him. I haven't measured him in a while because he's part Maine Coon and he's a big ass motherfucker.
Oh yeah, they get big.
And he will sprawl out right there, and he's just like, "This is my desk."
Well, I hope your keyboard isn't too expensive if it gets broken.
It's a Steel Series. It was pricey. I won it in a giveaway, and I don't want it to die.
Well, I hope it doesn't hit the floor too hard.
You need a fake out keyboard just for the cat to like knock around, but then when you need to,
I did do that for a while.
A light keyboard.
I had a spare keyboard that I kept on the windowsill.
Did it work?
It did. Unfortunately, there were times where if I was using this one, they would still come and lay on my hands. But if I wasn't around the computer, I kept it up there for a long time. I think they eventually knocked it down enough that I lost too many keycaps and they wouldn't lay on it.
I've seen people use decoy laptops and they've got pictures of cats sitting at little fake laptops.
I keep a Chromebook laying on top of the TV stand for our cat Raven because he likes to lay on top of it.
That's so
and when nobody uses it now that we all have good desktops, so we just keep the Chromebook there for him.
See, just think about that though. That just goes to show you just how much humans love cats. It's the sense of all the work you have to put in to appease their behavior.
I am 100% a cat bitch. Whatever they tell me to do, I'm like, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Now I have to say yes, ma'am, because we have Luna too. But I'm just here for snacks and pets.
Yes, Mumin, totally. I understand. I totally understand, Mumin. I am on it. But it just blows my mind. I got these fake out laptops, or I have this giant cat tower that takes up a corner of the room.
If I had room for one, I'd have a giant cat tower. I don't have room, so they just play parkour on all my furniture because I have too small of a house to get them a tower.
And then
I got one, but my cat never used it. She really loves these pet stairs, though. I should have just got those to begin with.
I think the thing that I like hearing the most about people that own cats, the general story, is when they go to sleep and then for whatever cockamamie reason, it'll be 3 a.m. and their cat just start darting across the house, back and forth, like it's running from ghosts or something. And you know what it is? There's no explanation. Just crazy cat.
I might be on a 24-hour sleep schedule, but she sleeps 2 hours and walks around 1 hour all day.
Gabriel actually sleeps with us all night. Now the other cats, Raven comes and goes in and out because he was a rescue and he was already doing that with his original family. Mm-hmm. But Luna and Castiel are permanently indoor cats, and so is Gabriel. But for whatever reason, Luna and Castiel, they like to roam the house at night. But Gabriel has Maine Coon tendencies because he's part Maine Coon, so he wants to always be halfway up my ass, preferably. So he goes to bed with me and we close the door because the dogs also sleep in there. And if you let them roam the house, you're waking up to torn up trash. So
that's pretty nice, actually. My cat's definitely more of a night roamer.
Yeah, no, Gabriel, as soon as I lay down, he will stand on. He doesn't like to touch the mattress, so that's a no. He won't touch the couch either. He doesn't like the feeling of squishy fabric.
You have a hover cat.
Yeah, so the funny thing is he'll sit and perch on the footboard until I lay down, and then he will touch my toes and my foot with his paw to make sure I'm not gonna move and I know he's coming. And then he will walk all the way up my leg and my side, and then he will lay down and sprawl out from my armpit down, and that's where he sleeps. It's pretty cute.
That's good. See, that's
adorable.
Sometimes he will, the rare occasion, he will get down on the pillow and sleep curl. It's usually if it's cold and he wants under the blanket. And he'll sleep on the pillow with me. And you can always tell when he's done that because I'm allergic to him. And my face will puff up and swell.
Oh.
And I'll wake up in the morning and my eyes will be swollen shut. And my husband will be like, yeah, Gabe slept with you last night.
Yeah.
I feel bad. Carnage is in chat asking questions, and we didn't even start the show yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep all of that. Let's just here. I'll play the theme song again right now. Now we're back, and what's up, everyone? This is the SML podcast. I'm your host, Joe.
Change the name of it to the CAT podcast.
Yes, the CAT podcast.
It would mean as much as SML at this point.
Yeah, it's just about cats now.
Yeah, we're here to tell you about cats. Cats and games.
I wish one of you were local because I would totally borrow your cat because cats kill crickets. And I don't know what's going on, but there's a cricket somewhere, either just in front of my house or in the basement, and it's been chirping for days, and I can't find it. It's driving me batty. It's chirping right now, and that's what made me think. I just started chirping.
Pernell, have you ever considered that maybe the cricket was inside of you all along?
If the cricket's inside of me, that's got some crazy reverb going on. Then
you are the cricket, Pernell. It's in your heart.
It's like this magic chirping cricket that just like burps all across the house. Like, where's it coming from? It's always coming from within, but you can throw it.
As you can tell, Pernell's here. Pernell, how are you doing? You can't even get through the introductions without more cat talk.
Well, I'm throwing chirps. That's all I got. What's happening to me right now? I'm part cricket.
Oh, my Lord. And then we are being joined by a very special guest joining us to talk about the game CreatorCrate, Jori Ryan. How are you doing today?
Hey, that's me. I'm doing really good. Yeah, so the game just launched on Steam this week, so I've been super busy getting all that together. But I don't know, I've been getting a really good response, and it's been so cool finally having the game out in the world and just being able to see so many different people play it.
Well, for the people who don't know what CreatorCrate is, give us the sales pitch. Give us the elevator pitch. What is this game?
The sizzle.
Yeah, so CreatorCrate is a grabby physics rampage game about a robot. It's an appliance that was made on this space station. So this company made the appliance. It's basically a 3D printer that can make anything. And like this thing could solve all of the world's problems by just, printing out whatever we need, but they just want to make money off of it. So it, doesn't want to be an appliance. So it escapes and it's basically a monster from the monsters. It's a monster movie from the monster's perspective. So, the whole thing is about this, I don't know, this kind of dark and funny contrast between the idea of this harmless appliance that sits on a kitchen counter, just printing out cups of coffee all day, and this machine that has like the horrible power to just eat people left and right and convert their matter into the tools that it needs. So it's a really fast-paced and also really unusual game. So probably the most unusual thing is you have an arm that follows the mouse cursor around, and you use it to pick up objects, and you can do a whole lot with that. So the objects never stop being part of the world. So you move your arm around, and if you drop the object while you're moving the arm, you throw the object across the room. So you can destroy robots by throwing a bunch of furniture at them. You can knock down
a bunch of humans at them.
Or throwing humans at them. You can grab one of the people who's trying to kill you and use them as a human shield to protect you from the other people who are trying to kill you. And then eat them and try to reproduce another person, but they don't really come out right. And then the other people start running away from the horrible thing you've made.
I love the horrible manifestation of humanity that whatever that blob is that comes out is.
Yeah, that's probably the most messed up thing in the whole game.
I do find it funny. It was like, what the heck? I was like, can this thing actually attack people? What is it doing? It's just like, it's like, I'll take it back in. Come on.
Yeah, and like this grabbing, throwing, bashing people over the head system, it's really just limited by the player's imagination. Like, some people play the game a lot more like a conventional platformer. They just dodge the bullets and jump between the platforms. But you can get really creative with this. You can, like, throw a piece of furniture onto an electrified floor and stand on the furniture. You can make huge shortcuts through destructible walls by just tunneling through them with acid. You can trigger smoke alarms and hide in smoke from the people who are trying to kill you, or cut wires to security systems. And the whole thing is also really built for both replayability and also a whole lot of options. So there's usually like 3 or 4 things trying to kill you at any given time. And there's a bunch of options. So, like I said, you can cut the wires, you can kill the things, you can run away from them. And it gives people a lot of different play styles that you can use to get through the same situations. And it also lets players really feel like they're having their own adventure and figuring out their own solutions. You're not just going down the path that the developer laid out for you. And it's also procedurally generated, so these situations are brand new each time you play. And so there is the newest challenge mode that I added to the game is called Companion Human. And it's inspired by Portal's Companion Cube. You probably all know about that, where you've
got the companion cube.
You need to bring through
the companion cube was actually the groom's cake at my wedding.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, like, the companion human, from the very start of the game, there's a human with you that you need to keep alive for the entire game. And this was inspired by a play test I saw maybe like half a year ago. Like, just out of nowhere, this play tester just decided that he would always keep one human with him no matter what. Like, this human was going to be his friend. And if that human got killed, doesn't matter. You just get a new human. And beyond being like the funniest thing I've ever seen in the game, it was also really effective because the game's all built around it being effective to have an object with you all the time. So, a person is an object. So, if you're trying to distract a robot, you just sacrifice your friend and throw them in front of the robot. Or if people start shooting at you, you're already holding your friend, so you've got a ready-made human shield. So, there's just so many ways for different players to, really find ways to be creative and make the experience their own. And, I also really value making an experience where sometimes players even wonder if I as the designer meant to put something in there. Like another...
In what ways? Like Easter eggs or something? Or just
more like as a solution to a problem. Like another play tester, she got through quite a bit of the game, and she came back to me with the feedback that furniture is too powerful because, I'm diffusing all of the traps with it. I'm standing on it on these electrified floors. I'm hitting people with it. I'm using it to absorb damage. And, she thought that, I don't know, she was getting away with something. And that's kind of the feeling I want players to come away with, is that they've found something that, is their own solution and isn't just something I put there. And okay, I guess what was on the developer's mind's good for me. And I guess the other thing I want to talk about is CreatorCrate has some, it's got a world that I've never it's got a setting I haven't seen in any other game. So it's on a circular space station. So this is, you see these a lot in hard science fiction, like the Expanse TV series. And it's the kind of space station that could really exist in the real world with our current understanding of physics. It's a giant centrifuge that spins to simulate gravity. And if you've ever seen like a front-loading washing machine on a spin cycle, it's kind of like that. It just pulls all of the clothes to the side. But instead of clothes, it's people in there and they're walking around. And, you just I've never been able to really explore a giant structure like that in a video game. And after having made it, I think I know why, because you have to build everything differently to make it work. If, you're building it on a circle, it's so much easier to build a grid-based game than to really figure out how to make a circular game world. But
and I would imagine that being procedurally generated makes it even that much harder because you have no control over how the levels are going to be laid out. They just have to fit right.
Absolutely. Or I have minor control over it. Like I can tweak things, but it still needs to be a different layout each time. And yeah, but that adds a lot of value to the game. Like and it's also, so it's not something that you come to all at once. Like you can view the map at any time and you see this cool zoom out where you see the whole space station and it zooms in and you see the circle getting bigger and bigger and then it's the level. But you start in the outer edge where that curvature isn't very noticeable. And as you go through the game, the curvature becomes more and more pronounced. And eventually you're running around a single circular chamber, running from things that are trying to kill you, like always. And, it's kind of a slow burn. It's like I wanted to express this feeling of wonder at exploring this massive structure that's bigger than yourself. And I think it's really cool for a player, not just having that circular shape come all at once. Okay, I'm in a circle now, but having it be this big thing that you discover by degrees. And eventually you travel all the way around and come back to where you started.
I haven't made it that far because I am terrible at this game. I have died so many times. I want to thank you for adding in an easy mode. I found that.
Absolutely.
We love us a good easy mode.
Now, can I respond to what you said just there?
Yeah.
So, almost like whenever or very frequently when I see someone play the game, I hear them say they're terrible at it, and I don't really think it's true. Or, like, it's a game that's designed to be hard, and it's a game that's designed to kill you a lot, even, players who are very used to hard games. But, it's also designed to be a fair game. Like, it's not like a game that gives enemies 1 million hit points or fills the screen with bullets or something. But it does, the situation is very chaotic and it gets away from you fast if you're not careful.
Yeah, I found myself laughing in death more than getting aggravated. Like I would just explode along with a vending machine and a rocket launcher all together, and I would I would start laughing. It's a hilarious game when you just the physics when you shoot an enemy and they just flop to the ground.
And I'm so happy to hear you say that because I made CreatorCrate because I love games that are similar to that, where where, they kill you over and over again and you just laugh and get back up. And I'm not someone who really cares all that much about making progress in games. What matters to me is that moment to moment I'm having fun and that, the situation is engaging to me. And I feel like I have a chance to get through and there's a chance that I'm going to get knocked down and go back. And I have that experience with so many other games that inspired CreatorCrate that I'm just always laughing when I die, even if it sets me back hours.
What are some of the games that would you say inspired you to inspire the CreatorCrate style that you described just now?
So I'd say that the number one most similar game is Spelunky. And,
good.
especially in the way it generates levels. So, CreatorCrate has a connected style of procedural generation where I'm not sure how much you want to get into really technical stuff, but there's very small pieces of pre-designed content that fit together in the procedural generator. And Spelunky is, it's not like a massive circular world. It has stages unlike CreatorCrate, but Spelunky is one of the best level generators that I've seen in pretty much any game ever. And that's because it's because the pieces of content are very small and very connected. So it's not like you're standing in, with a lot of roguelikes, the rooms are very sealed off from each other, like Binding of Isaac, which is also a great game. You enter the room, the doors close, you kill all the monsters, then the doors open, then you go to the next room and repeat.
No.
Whereas with a game like Spelunky or CreatorCrate, it's all flow from one part to the next. So you never really feel like you're in one little sectioned off piece of pre-designed content. It's all part of a bigger whole. So an enemy from one piece of pre-designed content will chase you through the level. Or
and that's a large part of the fun for Spelunky too. When the shopkeeper comes after you, I don't know where I'm running, but I got to get away from this guy.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll follow you or be involuntarily carried with you.
Absolutely. Or a gun turret from one room fires at you and it destroys a trap in a room that was never, ever designed to be next to it. But the systems are designed to go together, so it doesn't matter. So, that's the way that you make a game that's even surprising the designers, because it's putting all of these systems together in a way where you don't know which ones are going to be talking to each other.
And it's actually really cool, too, because it allows the developer and, in turn, the players to take an acceptable risk, too, in that, this is a hypothetical because I've never experienced this in the game, which is a good thing. But, say, for example, you get chased by a floating turret. The floating turret shoots a block 2 screens over, and that block was a block that you thought was needed to trigger a switch that would open a door. But now you can't open the door because the turret blew up the switch. That makes that whole chain of events that could occur, which honestly, I'm not even sure if it could occur in this game. But
actually, that is pretty similar to something that might happen in CreatorCrate.
Ooh.
So is there the possibility for game-breaking shortcuts and just events happening through the procedural generation system?
So I wouldn't call any of it game-breaking.
Run breaking.
There's 2 answers to that. So there's the possibility for some pretty significant shortcuts through areas, especially with the acid item that melts walls. You can really melt through big swaths of walls, and if you're clever with it, you can shortcut through a lot of traps.
I really want to ask this real quick because you mentioned the acid a few times, and I need to confirm this. Do you get the acid from that giant container that dumps it sometimes? Because I never thought I'd attempt to just grab that, but I'm used to just dodging the acid. I'm like, but then you see these like, giant force of wall that you can shoot bit by bit with a gun. Oh, there's got to be a better way to get through this wall.
So the acid, it's the same stuff, but you get it in a container later.
Oh, okay.
So like, yeah, so you can get some real shortcuts there, and I don't consider anything game breaking that helps the player unless, if it's a solution and not like an absolute bug. But as far as game breaking in the other way, where it hurts the player, like the big thing I try to design around is soft locks. And those are situations where, the player is alive but can't make progress. And if I ever see a way for that to happen, I design it out. So one potential example of that is I've got destructible terrain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can imagine the player tunneling down in a straight line, and then they're at the bottom of this tunnel, and they can't jump their way out because they've gone too far down. So there may be some rare situations in the game where that's possible, but in general, I try to mix indestructible blocks in with the destructible blocks so that even if like every single destructible block in a room got destroyed, you'd still have a viable path through the level. And another thing I just patched out was like there's these crusher traps, and there was the potential to like open them on a timer, get into the crusher, and then destroy a wall in there, and then go into that pocket, and the crusher would close behind you, and then you'd be trapped in there. And that's the real situation I always design around, because anytime the player can't advance, the player should be dead.
Yeah, how do people figure out doing that shit?
Oh, a lot of times it just happens by accident.
Yeah, Cole would do it. Cole.
I am the queen of breaking games. Like if there's some way that a game can be destroyed, I'm the one that will do it.
Oh yeah, like if enough people
now
play a game. Oh no, not at all. Like in fact, if you have found anything like that, I'd love to hear about it, and I'll patch it out in the next update.
That's awesome. I've been pretty lucky so far. I was purposely trying to get into some shady situations because
any luck?
That's what I do. No, pretty much everything I got into, I was able to get out of. There was one moment where it looked a little perilous, and then I don't know what I did, but I got out. Like a wall had come up behind me, and I was like, "Oh!" And then I think I just broke through a different wall elsewhere that I didn't think I could break through. But it was one of those just like I fucked it up, and then and then I saved it, and then I'm like, "Yay!"
Now another situation that I also try to be careful of is perceived soft locks.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was talking before about real soft locks where players are alive but they have no options to advance. Well, there's also the perceived soft lock where players have an option but they don't know about the option. So an example of that is like the player needs to destroy a wall to advance. The player has the ability to destroy the wall, but the player doesn't know that they can destroy the wall. So that's where the multiple solutions in CreatorCrate really come in, because in most cases, there's a way to get through like 90% of the areas with no tools whatsoever, but it's considerably more dangerous if you're just running for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, that gives a strong pressure to use tools, but it means that you're not totally out of luck if, you just have to run for it.
I do have a question. The game is very much marketed as being a fast-paced roguelike type of experience. How do you balance that so that the game is accessible to more people and still manage to keep up with that higher paced game, Spelunky type of gameplay that you're inspired by?
Now, that definitely is something that, I've thought a lot about and is important to me. So the easy mode came up earlier where, after 3 deaths at the same checkpoint, a pop-up that comes up that says easy mode unlocked. And, so I'd really like this to eventually be an assist mode, more like a Celeste style.
Mm-hmm.
But really the reason it's called easy mode right now is because there's one slider there and it just affects how much damage you take. So when I do have time to really make it an assist mode, it would have other things like maybe extra jumps or, other, accessibility help. But, at this point, it's just an easier setting.
Cole, is there anything you would want to see?
And where she's talking about assist mode, that's pretty much what I would like to see primarily.
Yeah, I was just saying if there were any game-specific things that you personally would want to see.
There were some of the controls that with a controller are not necessarily as comfortable as they could be. But you can go in and change the key bindings. The biggest thing is that the game is very much made for mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
And I would like to see more attention to the controller side of it.
And, that is one of the biggest pieces of feedback I get. And it probably will be coming in one of the, I don't know, in the next few months, probably. One thing that I've been seriously considering is a charge throw that I think would help a lot with this. It might be like an optional checkbox where instead of the gesture throwing where you can move the mouse across the screen and click to throw, it would be more of a hold down a button and then release the button and the object is thrown towards the cursor.
Yeah.
And does that sound like something that would help your controller experience?
That would actually help a lot. The gesture throwing is probably my biggest issue. I have rheumatoid disease. So my hands
that's one of the biggest pieces of negative feedback I get. And I think it's going to be a priority pretty soon.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I would also suggest if you're going to make a charge type of throw option, also put in the ability to make it to where you don't have to hold the button, where you could just tap it instead. Because again, for people with disabilities like mine, having to hold a button for an extended period of time can be a problem.
Oh no, that's a great idea. Like one button to drop and another button to just like throw at maximum force, maybe.
Yeah, that's I've seen a few games do that. There was also the having to crouch and hold to repair was kind of a hiccup for me. And it's one of those, like, if I'm playing for 5, 10, 15 minutes, that's one thing. But if I'm going to play the game for an extended period of time, and this is a huge world that you're exploring, so you are going to be in there for a while, the fatigue starts to kick in pretty quick when you're having to do these repeated motions like that.
Oh, no, that's great feedback. And I think that an optional heal button would be a great idea. Now, right. So as far as other accessibility things, so, difficulty isn't the only accessibility issue. Like, so the game does have rebindable controls, which help a bit with that. Like, a lot of things that a lot of things that help with accessibility also fall under just regular game features.
Yeah, more games need to have remappable controls. That should be standard in every game.
There's an ability to turn off screen shake. A lot of players have issues with that.
That was a nice one I noticed.
You can turn off ASCII effects, which could also cause issues for some players. There's also a checkbox to reduce the amount of cam motion. So that it gets rid of mouse aiming, and it makes the camera, so the camera normally angles slightly in the direction of movement to make it more dynamic. So that checkbox gets rid of that to, help with issues of motion sickness. Obviously, I can't guarantee that it will totally get rid of those.
Yeah. But I assume it's a struggle when you're a solo dev working on a game or a small team to try to compensate for every potential situation that somebody might run into with the game you created. But I do give you credit for what you have available in the game as far as accessibility, because I've seen a lot of games from bigger devs who don't even start with like key bindings. Yeah.
Oh, I really appreciate it.
I don't mean to put you on the spot and be like, be more accessible. But
no, I get it. And I mean, there is a conversation there, like, there is a reality that different games are accessible in different ways. Like one game may be very accessible to players with vision issues, and another game may be very accessible to players with movement issues. And, obviously you want to be able to accommodate as many players as possible. And it's more difficult as a single developer, but it's something I've tried to do as much as I can pre-release, and I'd like to keep doing more for that in the future.
So what all is planned for post-release now that the game is out?
So some of that depends on, player
Carnage in chat is asking if there's any Xbox plans, so of course that had to come up.
Right. So definitely it's going to be important really getting that controller stuff a little more accessible for console releases. And eventually I think I would like to be able to do some expansions for CreatorCrate. It would be the real one that I have my sights on. If I have enough time and there's enough community interest in the game and everything lines up, is I would absolutely love to have an endless mode expansion where you just start the game and you just keep going. It just keeps generating one area after another.
That would be cool.
You just go as far as you're able.
And have leaderboards, maybe? That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Leaderboards for someone to hack in like the first week and have it all at 9s.
Probably. But I'm sure it would be fun regardless of whether the scores were accurate. And, it would also be very cool to, keep packing the game with more features, more areas, more enemies, and just keep building on that.
Hidden cats.
And hidden cats.
Yeah. Well, this is the third time this show that my cat Coltrane has forcibly jumped on my lap demanding attention. 3 times in one interview. Friggin' Coltrane, you attention whore. Love you so much.
Love the kitty.
That's so cute. Oh, I can hear them.
Yeah, I need to get my mic to pick up purring. What the fuck? Mine doesn't pick that up.
But it's been really cool. Just I've seen a whole lot of people play the game this week, like all kinds of different streamers, and some of them I've known before, but a whole lot of them are like brand new people who just got their hands on the game for the first time. And the thing I really want to say is don't expect a regular platformer. CreatorCrate is very different. It's, it's a chaotic physics rampage. And there's a kind of person who just really responds to that and really gets a kick out of it. And absolutely is just engrossed in those systems. And it's just been so rewarding to see how engaged and entertained people are with that.
I do have two general things to bring up, just general curiosity things, I guess. The first thing is probably the thing that was messing with me the most, which is it possible to like in a future update on the UI to have it so that there's the 3 objects in the corner that you blueprint copied, and they're assigned to different buttons. When you don't have an object inside, if you don't have a blueprint for a button yet, you can see what buttons associated with it. But once you've already established blueprints, they're filled in. And I'm sure, I'm not sure, I'll wager a lot of people don't have this problem, but my memory sucks sometimes. So when I'm getting my move on and I'm trying to use things on the fly, or I grab something, I need to absorb it, I occasionally will just push the wrong button because I just flat out forget which of the 3 blueprints are associated with which button. Like maybe have a small graphical offshoot of the circle that just has a small letter or button letter icon in it. It just says this is what it is. Oh, okay, that's the Y button blueprint. That's the X button blueprint.
Oh, I see. So, just keep communicating that this is the 1 slot, this is the 2 slot, this is the 3 slot.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. I'll make a note of that. And that is, that might be so common sense that it's not even a optional thing. It's just something that goes into the regular design of the game, because I think you're onto something.
Does that count as our one good idea this episode, Cole?
I think you've done more than one good idea.
It's probably better than the cats. But I do recommend hidden cats.
Actually, the funny thing is that ties kind of into the second thing, which is that this is more like a clarification for me on future plays, just in case I'm doing something off. But I have a propensity for overlooking too hard in environments when I play a game, because I always feel like I'm missing out on a secret, or I'm trying to find a secret. But the thing about it is, with this game, I don't know if there are secrets versus the objective goal of get the hell out of the space station. Are there things I should be trying to look for aside from progressing through the space station?
It's mostly progress through the space station and unlock the challenge modes and play the challenge modes. However, there are 2 special achievements, and don't know if I want to spoil them too much, but one of them has to do with the tutorial, and one of them has to do with the first boss fight.
Okay. Then that's good news to me. That just means next time I play the game, I'm going to focus solely on progression. Because I spend time, I'm maybe I should go this way, but I should go that way, because if I'm intended to go right, maybe I'll find a secret if I go left. That's where my brain goes with this kind of stuff. So I feel
yes, but when you start the game, you have the screen of challenge modes. And you can see all the conditions to unlock them. So you can explore the game trying to trigger those challenge mode unlocks. And then once you get the challenge modes, it really changes how the game's played. I'm not sure if any of you have played it yet, but with one of them, you don't even have legs. So you're just swinging from walls for the whole time. And it's almost like the whole game is getting over its style obstacle course. And
jeez,
I don't know how many people are into that, but it is my absolute favorite.
Now that sort of thing would be me, because one thing I was going to bring up, but it sounded like in the dialogue with Cole earlier, it's already addressed in the game. I just got to go to the options and dig it up. But I'm a controller guy at heart. So even though it's like keyboard and mouse prefer, I'm like, but if I can, I'm going to work with this controller. And the one hiccup I came across, which I think is actually easily solvable with mappable buttons, which I'm thankful you said are in there. I just got to find them. Is the right thumbstick controls the arm. But to grab stuff, I believe it was like a face button or something that I had to press with the same thumb I would use to manipulate that right thumbstick, which was the challenge for me. So when I was having to do scenarios where I had to jump and grapple, I was actually taking my hands and like awkwardly putting them on the controller specifically to be able to do both things at once. But if the bumpers, or if the trigger and bumper on the left side were the things that manipulated the grab and jump, or at least optional buttons for it, it would be easier to say, okay, right thumb, swing, and then left trigger, jump, at the right time. And it's easier to just kind of...
So can you tell me what your ideal controller setup would be? Because, so you would like on the right trigger and bumper, like pick up and...
Oh, no, not that. So here we go. So if we're looking at I use a three Xbox controller. So think of that layout. And it would be like left bumper would be to grab, left trigger would be to jump. A, B, and Y would reference the three blueprints. So lower
X,
to upper.
Y, B.
No. I mean A, B, Y. It would be A for the lower blueprint, B for the middle blueprint, and Y for the top blueprint. The right thumb.
Pernell's a bumper jumper.
but that's why. Normally I'm not. But in this game, if I was going to have another button one, it may as well just be X, because in this game, the way it's laid out with the jumping plus having to grapple, you can't really do the grapple with jumping combined, because A is the right button was your right thumb, but that's also how you manipulate the right thumbstick. So if you have to do both things in some succession, it gets awkward to control. So the way to fix it is to make it so that your right thumb doesn't have to be used to jump or to grab, because you can use it solely to focus on the actual manipulation of your arm. And that's how you're able to like get that maneuverability done without feeling like you're breaking the momentum.
And then you have like right bumper, fire a gun or something.
Yeah, exactly that. Or a right trigger to fire the gun, because trigger still works in that regard. Right. But like right trigger to fire the gun, because I was saying earlier.
I don't think he's saying that the grab is the problem, because grab is on the left trigger. I think he's saying that the issue is jumping and also directing your arm, since jump is A, and then trying to direct your arm while in air. Exactly. I think he's just miscommunicating it wrong.
No, that's it. That's it. But that's why I was trying to say, like, the left bumper and trigger would cover those things. And then
I jump in, because it actually makes me so happy to hear you say exactly the controller layout you just said, because that's the controller layout I personally prefer. And like, I changed it around a lot. And, it is all rebindable. So anyone who wants that can just have it by going into the key rebinding screen. But I changed it to its current setup a little while back, because, I was getting a little bit of feedback that it was unintuitive for players who are used to controllers with platformers, and there's a very set expectation. A button jumps always, and I would personally much prefer the jump to be somewhere where it isn't on that arm control, and it makes me very happy to hear you say the same thing. And I don't know, you might be convincing me to mess with the default layout.
Can always have presets.
Because
that is also a fantastic idea.
There's our good idea this episode.
We're rolling in on today.
Yeah, because it stands by like the fact that like I'm typically 9 times out of 10 I am exactly the same person. I am that guy that's like A is always the jump, X is always to fire your gun, and then the B button would be your dash or whatever. Basically Mega Man X control.
Oh yeah, and you know what else is like then players who are like really really into like twin stick shooters on an Xbox or something.
Carnage.
Yeah, they I am not good at this, but I've seen people talk about the claw grip, where you actually have your index finger up on top of the A button while your right thumb is on the stick. Mm-hmm. And, it makes me wonder, like, is this typical? I think it is for some people, but, again, presets, different people want different things.
And that's what's funny. Like, that's the format. That's what I was doing in scenarios where I had to jump.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought Pernell had more to say there.
Yeah, I was like waiting.
Yeah, are you there, Pernell? I'm seeing a pause icon on your name.
Oh no!
Oh no! Pernell died. Maybe he got another call.
For the record, claw gripping is terrible for arthritis.
I've tried it, and it does make my hands hurt.
A phone call was coming through, and it immediately switched Skype to a hold. I was like, "Don't do that." But what I was trying to say was that, that claw grip you describe is pretty much what I was doing. The problem, though, is that that's not typically what I want to do. It's just what I was doing out of necessity, So it's like, a lot of times when people talk about that, like I just call it the Mega Man X thing. That's where I started doing it, and it just stuck with every other game after that. But like people usually use that format because it's a good format, but also because it was established before right thumbsticks were even a thing that existed. So if a game has use, like makes prominent use of that right thumbstick, as in not just to manipulate the camera, then it kind of borks that format. Because you can't do that much at once without, like we described, having to switch the entire way you hold the controller, which is then counterintuitive to the way the controller is designed to be held. So in that regard, that's when you start trying to come up with like these like other ways to like map the button to say I can still hold the controller, but I do all the mechanisms the game requires without getting crazy creative with how I hold it. Otherwise, you're going to get another Chanicarus Uprising thing where everyone's like, I hate this game because it hurts to hold it.
Yeah, but what you described as your preferred controller configuration is very similar to how I would personally prefer to play this game. But, just like talking to people and researching what should the default controller configuration be, I started to wonder if I was the weird one for thinking it ought to be that way. So I think, you're probably right. It is configurable. So right now you can have it however you want in the game, but some presets for making that easier are a great idea.
Okay, so we're on the right page there. So because I do like the game for sure. It's just, that was the thing. I was like, how do I get this to flow in a way that won't make, because it also makes you just worse at the game too, where you're like, okay, I can do this, but if I need to do it in a way that's needs to be done in a panic scenario, it ain't going to happen. So,
yeah, totally.
So, and I do like when the panic scenarios occur in this game because it gets a little ridiculous. Like the robots chasing, like I gotta throw the furniture, but I can't throw the furniture. What do I do? Just run from it. I don't care. Just I'll figure it out later.
No, imagine that panic scenario, but in the no legs challenge.
Oh, gee.
When I get back into streaming this game, I think I'm going to mostly stream no legs because I'm just fascinated with that mode.
Yeah, I want to watch someone really good at this game just destroy. I want to see this at GDQ.
Oh, yeah, I would. I gotta get in touch with them because they might be into that.
I think this would be a really cool game to watch in that setting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are you playing these days? What games are you enjoying?
Yeah, so the big game that has really captured my attention right now is Noida. And, if you've played CreatorCrate, you can probably see why. It's a roguelike, but it's it's doing things with like physics simulation that I've just never seen done this well. And it just has such a depth of emergent situations that come out of that. And it's also, I was saying, like, I really value living in the moment in a game over worrying about progress. And Noida's definitely in that camp of roguelikes. Like, Noida is very much about, okay, it's back to the beginning every time. We're just going to start this over and go down there and see what happens. And, it's,
I've completely missed out on Noida. This is the first I'm hearing of this game, and it looks incredible.
I'm kind of in the same boat, and I think it's kind of funny because you mentioned Noita as saying, like, I don't know if you played, CreatorCrate, but if you played Noita, but I was like, no, it's the other way around. Like, I've played CreatorCrate, I haven't played Noita. But in addition to that, when you said Noita, I originally thought you were saying Noit 2, as in Noit 2 Love 2, which does a similar controller thing like you did, where you use the left hand to control the character, and the right to control like a cursor to do actions, and it's a platformer. So weird.
Oh yeah, for anyone listening, that's Noita. And with not worrying about progress, like, I don't even think I'm a good player at CreatorCrate because I made the thing, but I don't think I'm in general I'm like an average player at most games, but it just doesn't really matter to me if I get to the end. Like, what matters to me is like that I'm very focused on not getting killed by whatever is trying to kill me in the moment. And, I kind of made a game that can be played both ways. Like, you can get down little chunks with the checkpoints. So, you go through this little procedurally generated area, and then you get killed. You're knocked back to the start, and then you go through the area again, and it's a fresh challenge. And you do that for a while, and then eventually you break through, and you're in a new area with new mechanics. Or, like, you can unlock permadeath mode. And I've only turned on I've only won my own game in permadeath mode once. And it was a really intense stream. Like, I honestly went into that pretty sure I would not have a win that day. And it happened on the first run, and like, especially that final boss fight, I was almost sure that one was going to get me. You're like being attacked by mechs that are just flying everywhere, charging you, shooting bullets at you. And a lot of it came down to like just baiting them around corners and like at one point, I was using a closed airlock to just block off a section so one of them couldn't chase me. And like, I almost got killed that way. And, I don't know. It's just like, I think that's about the limit of like permadeath, gameplay length. Like, you've got maybe 2, maybe 4 hours of game on the line. So you're really, really invested in getting to that finish line. But it's not like, your whole week is host if something does kill you.
It's not like my buddy Chris who plays Diablo 3 on hardcore mode and has like a, level 70 and how many prestige points and whatever, and then a character dies. And it's just hours wasted. Yikes. Forever gone.
I see people I see them do like Minecraft with permadeath, and they've spent like a year in the game just building everything there, and then they fall into lava once and it's gone.
One tiny little fuck up and then boom, all gone.
Yeah.
All that work. Poof.
I don't know. But I also really love Caves of Cod, and I've definitely had like 10 or 15 hour runs that, just went south in a few minutes. And, I don't know, but I'm the kind of person who really, just really likes that in a game. Like, if you let me, I'll just save constantly and hoard health potions and never take risks. And I really like games where, like, even if it's just an options menu thing that I throw, I like to have the option to set the game up where I'm not worrying about any of that. I know it's all going to be taken away, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I like when games allow that. It's I don't know, losing progress and losing time is just not something. When a game doesn't value my time, that's when I get worried.
And that's kind of where I fall on this too. Like, as you probably already know, I'm a big proponent of games being difficult and challenging. To me, that's a big part of the fun. But as I got older and, life progressed to where, like I got to, eke out time to have fun. I decided that I prefer is a game that's challenging, but also doesn't punish my time when I fail. I'd rather it punish me through resolving the problem, not like, well, time to repeat those 4 hours in order to retry the one thing you screwed up. Like, How about I get like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because that's a checkpoint system typically, right? Like 10, 15 minutes if it happens to come down to that, but
oh, absolutely. And that is the reason for the checkpoints.
Oh yeah, like I have no issues with checkpoints, which is also why like games where it's like I'm okay with the limited lives thing even because there's like ways you can work around that to say like, okay, I earned more tries and all that. That's still fun to me, but I'm not a big fan of the limited continues anymore for our similar. It's like
totally.
And it's like, I know people can listen to that and go, well, if you got unlimited continues, it devalues the point of having the lives. I'm like, not necessarily. Depends on what the continues, how far the continue takes you back. Like, you work the continues to be like, okay, just like how like stage 1-1 to stage 1-5 or something. It's like continue, you have to go back to 1-1, but lives you can progress all the way through 1-5. And just there's a balance involved is what it boils down to. But like,
I think like the bottom line for me is I don't mind losing everything as long as I feel like I still have a fun game to restart and try again the next time. Like, I don't mind at all Noida where I don't have any checkpoints at all. And I don't quite know how long I spend in there, but I'm probably playing like an hour or more before I get killed. And I don't mind because it gets pretty engaging pretty fast.
But I think I think what you're describing though also is a facet that's fairly unique to the roguelike genre. But because with let's say take like Ninja Gaiden, right? This is an old game, but it's a good example. It's a challenging game. You run through it. You could run through for a couple of hours before you finally just hit your wall and you stop. So your next replay, you're doing those same stages all over again to the letter. Like nothing's different. It's just the repeat aspect of it all. But with a roguelike, a well-designed roguelike, you have the same like map tiles, but the experience is different enough to say like, I don't particularly know what of the 20 assets I'm going to come across here, which in turn still makes it feel like a fresh take. So in that regard, I'll play for 2 hours, dies like, man, that was a fun run. Versus, well, time to do stage 1-1 through 5-6 again. This is going to be great. That's honestly at the end. That's why I love roguelikes. It's just a good roguelike resolves that issue of repetition.
And for me, I'm kind of at the point in my life where, regardless of save options, I just like non-procedural games have just had trouble. I've had trouble with keeping my attention on non-procedural games. I don't know, in the last 10 years or so. And like I've got like 300 hours in Nuclear Throne, but like I have real trouble spending the first 10 hours in a 60-hour, single player AAA game. And it doesn't matter if I'm never losing that progress. It's just, I don't know. What matters most to me is just like every minute the systems are really engaging for me. And, something like Noida really provides that, or something like Spelunky.
And it's also funny you mentioned Nuclear Throne, because that's like one of my friend's favorite roguelike games. He recommends it all the time. Like, you should play Nuclear Throne.
Oh, yeah. Nuclear Throne's fantastic. And it's one of the games that got me into making CreatorCrate. Like, I probably have more hours in that than any other game.
Damn. That's a sell point.
Oh, yeah. It's, like Nuclear Throne it's a roguelike twin stick shooter, but the thing that really, really, really sets Nuclear Throne apart is they just polished it beyond anything you can imagine. It's just thumpy and juicy and incredibly satisfying action, and it's just like absolute perfection in game feel, and I cannot recommend it enough.
Sounds like Gungeon without the bullet hell component, which is honestly a good thing.
I'd say there's a good deal of bullet hell. Well, I mean, there's less bullet patterns in Nuclear Throne, but there's a lot of bullets flying around.
Oh, okay. It still works for me then, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but loads of dodging, loads of like popping around a corner and killing 5 things, and then like lobbing a grenade into a crowd, and I don't know, it's extremely sasatisfying twin stick action.
And there's a fishman too, which is all even more interesting.
Oh yeah, mutant powers.
I like that kind of stuff, but also like that's a question worth asking, because like you sound like you're like a fellow roguelike aficionado.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like the roguelike genre is becoming overpopulated, or do you feel that it just means that's just more options for players to utilize?
Okay, so I absolutely don't feel like it's becoming overpopulated, but I also feel like, there's always this tension where there tends to be an over-reliance on genre that can be kind of stifling. Like, CreatorCrate's a game that I describe as a roguelike sometimes, but I have to like put an asterisk next to that, because it's got the procedural generation, it's got the option of permadeath, but instead of like that character building and like RPG mechanics you see in a lot of roguelikes, instead CreatorCrate is very focused on like this thinking on your feet, quick physics, chaos puzzle, or action problem solving. And I think that that over reliance on genre kind of it makes it harder to talk about a game like this that's on the borders. Like, it's got a bit of puzzle platformer, it's got a bit of roguelike. And I feel like if a game is fun and if it's working, then absolutely we want new kinds of games, and we want new combinations of games, and we want things that haven't been tried before. So let me go in another direction with this too. So like I grew up playing a ton of games in the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. And when I was growing up, there was this very set thing that was called an RPG. So like you have stats, you probably move around on a grid, it's probably turn-based, and you manage equipment. And there's like JRPGs and all that's a little bit simpler and more streamlined. But then at some point, RPG just merged with everything else. Like, you don't even get a AAA game anymore without RPG mechanics. It's just like a AAA open world mashup. And like, you've got action games, you're probably going to have stats in those. You're probably going to have inventory management. At this point, RPG is barely even a thing that describes the game mechanics. It's something you put on the game to sell it because maybe this game has some fantasy theming like Skyrim and you think it would appeal to people.
It's got like RPG-like elements, quote unquote.
RPG would communicate that this is like fantasy-like and it has some of that stuff going on. But then like, so Skyrim's an RPG, but then you get something like Grand Theft Auto. And Grand Theft Auto has a lot of the same stuff going on, but is Grand Theft Auto an RPG? And a lot of that, just depends on how people want to brand it. So I think roguelikes are going through the same thing a little bit later, where it's just a toolbox. And the important thing isn't to lock games forever in the same form, but to figure out how to use these tools to make things that are compelling and cool and fun to play.
And honestly, I absolutely love that answer. Full disclosure, I asked that question specifically because I tend to come across more than my fair share of conversations where people love to point out to me that the roguelike genre has become oversaturated. And I kind of come at it with a similar mindset of, well, it's not the genre, is just the way you pigeonhole it into a way that's easy to describe to someone else, but you can take it well beyond that.
And I think action roguelike players, like people who love Nuclear Throne and Spelunky and Binding of Isaac, like they're going through the same thing that the classic roguelike players have already been going through. People who love NetHack and Caves of Qud and Rogue. Like I also listen to roguelike radio and watch a lot of discussion in the classic roguelike community where it's like ASCII based games that are turn based and there's probably not a lot of graphics and there's very deep systems and no real time stuff going on. And those classic roguelike players are very upset that the term some of them are very upset that the term roguelike has come to mean something like Binding of Isaac when they think it should only mean something like NetHack. So then like you get this split where you have roguelikes and roguelites and multiple definitions floating around, which are all valid because, of course they're all valid because people truly believe the words to mean these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the words are only so useful in that they're a shorthand for telling people what we like and finding more of what we know we like. But when we give the words the power to prevent new things that, we might not yet know that we like from coming into the world, then it starts becoming a problem.
Agree, because like I started with the genre with like games like Sharon the Wanderer. I'll admit flat out, I'd never played Rogue. I had to have a PC friend tell me, oh yeah, Rogue was an actual game. But it's a similar idea. Like, I like what I like and I enjoy playing it, but I don't think it makes logical sense to, tell someone, well, this game can't exist because now it goes beyond what the term is meant to mean. Like, no, it just means that maybe you have to say it's a roguelike with X, or maybe eventually if enough games come out like that, then it becomes another genre.
Right, exactly.
The action roguelike, whereas before it was just roguelike.
And like back when Jupiter Hell came out, like you had classic roguelike fans were kind of ticked off because there were all of these players saying, wow, someone made a turn-based roguelike, when to these people, of course it's turn-based. Roguelikes have always been turn-based. And, they're... and now action roguelike players like Binding of Isaac fans are just in the same boat where the genre that they just absolutely love is getting stretched and they're not sure how to deal with that.
I think in the end it just boils down to the idea of saying, hey, like I think it's one thing when it's like a journalism element, which means it's very overarching. Like someone writes an article and you read it, and you're like, oh, it's a roguelike. Okay. It's another thing, and probably it's the more personal element, which is why when it makes the most sense is like if the group of us were talking on here, and you said, "Hey, Pernell, describe Sheeran the Wanderer to me," then I can say to you three in a more specific term, in a way of phrasing, in a way that would click for you. It's like it's a roguelike game that has turn-based elements, and go down the rabbit hole to the way that it makes the most sense for you, which to me is what it's always meant to be. It's what's always been meant to do. So I think it's just we have to stop harping on the terminology so much and use it for what its intended purpose is. As long as it can convey the meaning, yes. Like as long as it can convey the meaning, it works.
People get too hung up on titles. Just enjoy the games for what they are.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just have fun. And, it's gaming. Just have fun.
There's definitely a discoverability element with there where it's absolutely necessary to tag these games with genre information. And you can kind of get that with multiple tags, like, okay, this is an action game and it's a roguelike and it's a physics platformer. So that helps a bit, but, the game description definitely narrows it down way, way more.
Mm-hmm. Because I think I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole here because I think I brought up on another show.
You always do.
Oh, you stop it. Maybe we'll see. The original reason why this started coming up for me over the years is because Metroidvania became a big thing, like terminology wise. And
oh yeah.
To me, it's not that I dislike the term, even though I could give you some easy gripes about it. But like I said earlier, as long as it conveys what the game is, that's all that truly matters to me. The problem in my mind, which always throws me off, is that it became this catch-all that doesn't properly explain what you're getting anymore in a lot of ways. Like, some people will use it to describe a game where it's like, okay, this may have the Metroid, but there's certainly no Vania here in that what it actually originally intended to be when it was created as a term. And it always throws me off in that way. So I'm always like, we need to come up with a term that actually works for these games that isn't, like falsely labeling them for people who are asking, oh, this is a Metroidvania, I want that, and they buy it. I'm like, this isn't a Metroidvania. This is just a game with a connected map. Where's the Vania?
Right, and that is always the challenge. Is the goal is always to describe the games in as few words as possible. But games are incredibly complicated, and I think it's good that games are incredibly diverse and have innovation and have a whole lot of systems. Mm-hmm. So, it's always this balancing act of trying to condense the game description into a few words, but not lose that subtlety or mislead people who might be interested in the game.
You're here to that. And for those who are are younger than us and don't get it, all you gotta do is look back on the original NES and how those games broke down. They were like the most simple classifications of games, and you could look at them and be like, "Yep, that's what I'm playing. Yep, that's what I'm playing." And the day you can almost tell when we branched away from that, when they're like, we can't even use these labels anymore. The games are too diverse.
Action series, puzzle series.
Now the NES games, those are a bit easier to classify. But I grew up playing, my first computer when I was 8 was a Commodore 64. And things really hadn't settled down at that point. Each one of those was doing its own thing. And in one of them, you're doing some running around and shooting from a 3/4 perspective. And one of them, you're throwing discs. And one of them, you're filling up drinks. And there was absolutely no language to describe it back then. And it was just this seething mess of innovation. And a lot of it totally fell flat. But at the same time, I think there was some really cool and really unusual stuff that came out of that period that shaped everything that came later.
And honestly, and now we have all those things. Now you can look back. It's also kind of funny that I have people go back to those old games with the terminology that we've got now. How would you describe this game? I don't know. It's It's a drink filling RPG with roguelike elements.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's got a K-pop dating sim.
It's a wizard dating sim. It's a wizardry dating sim. Yeah. I would play that too. I'm not even going to front. I would play a wizardry like dating sim.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Oh geez, I know we've been chatting for quite a while. Cole, did you have any other questions? You've been quiet for a bit.
No, I'm good. I got the accessibility thing out of my system, so.
Oh yeah, and you had some great suggestions on that.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing what you implement, because I'll definitely be playing more of the game.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I do really appreciate you bringing that up. And, I think you gave me some great suggestions.
Well, we try. We can't promise anything, but we try. Pernell, did you have any other questions?
Oh no, I'm fairly square. I was just chuckling at this image of like Cole like starting the show and like there's like this boiler just like starting to fill up, like gotta get the accessibility out, and then she's like, I got it out. It's like it cooled, the reactor cools. She's just like lying in the chair like, okay, my work here's done. I'm done.
I asked my question.
No, I really appreciate that, because accessibility is extremely important, and
oh yeah,
it's something I've worked on in some areas, but it's totally it's obviously never finished, and anything you can do to make a game better for that is always going to be an improvement. And I don't think any game can ever say it's truly reached that goal.
Oh yeah, like I can say, and I bring this up because I like to joke about it a lot, but it still needs to be said in the sense to put it in perspective that, I mean, I've been doing this show with these guys for a good number of years now, but honestly, it was Cole that even put the idea and understanding of accessibility in games into my head. Like, it was because of her that I even understand what the heck it is, and that's used in my repertoire of the dialogue now too. So like when I made that comment, it wasn't in a sense of disparity. It's just like, Cole is truly the accessibility person, because she probably put that in a lot of people's ears.
We learn from each other, like a big family.
Oh, and some of us get larger slices of cake because I love this cake.
Because some people just talk too much. Pernell, who goes on tangents.
Well, personally, I think it's been a fantastic discussion.
Well, it's been awesome having you on. Tell us one more time.
Being here.
Tell us one more time about the game, where it is, how much is it, how do people stay in touch with you? Give us all the info.
Yeah, so CreatorCrate is a grabby robot rampage game. It's a platformer in a massive circular space station where you use your wits to try to find different ways to survive and find your way through these procedurally generated levels. And it's available on Steam. I'll post the link in chat in a minute. And also on itch, DRM free if you prefer. And let me think what else. I'm CreatorCrate on Twitter. And I also have a Discord link that I can post on chat. That's like the forum for the game. Yeah, but and pricing. So it just came out. It's normally $12, but it's on sale for launch week for a few more days at 17% off. Yeah. And,
I think the episode releases the day the sale ends. So time.
Well, the people in the stream can have the special sale price.
Get on it while it's on sale, people. Chop, chop. Or if you're listening to the episode, maybe you have a few hours left.
Oh, yeah.
Go check.
Yeah. Hurry up and run to the store page.
Run, don't walk.
Yeah, but I'll go ahead and post those in chat. And I guess I'll send them to you so you can get them in the show notes, too.
Yeah, we'll include them in the write-up. So if people want more info, just check below the show. You know where all the notes are. Read up on everything. But Jori, it's been fantastic having you on the show. We're going to take a quick break.
It's been fantastic being here.
We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with more show. PartyCast time. Chris will be here. Tim will be here. Cole, we're going to talk about Hades. Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let me tell you all the ways I love Hades.
Well, you could tell us after the break. Okay. Jori, do you have any final words to end the interview?
Oh, no, I think that's great. I'm just really happy to be here and looking forward to the rest of the show.
Roguelikes for life.
Your lips go through all kinds of abuse. Chapped, bitten, split, puckered, duck-shaped for MySpace. So we combined the two best things in life into a portable plastic cylinder. Smooth lips and almost fully cooked pancakes. Introducing Wet Pancakes Beeswax Lip Balm. With only the best coconut, sweet almond, avocado, and saccharin oils, beeswax, and flavor. With a U. What flavor is it? We're not sure. Might be pancake. You don't know. So pick up a couple of sticks for yourself and your friends. And that creepy guy standing behind you looking over your shoulder. Some assembly required. Not FDIC insured. Does not contain actual pancakes or Nordics. Restrictions may apply. Go for the gold. Pizza. Your mom may or may not be sponsored by the SML podcast. Joe Cam loves you. Peace out.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. Another thanks to Jori Ryan for coming on and chatting with us. Cole, Pernell, that was fun, wasn't it?
It really was. It was.
It was a great time. It was so great that I lost track of time afterwards.
Yeah, it's like it's 3 days later.
Has it really fucking been 3 days?
Has it been 3 days? Yes. Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Well,
Monday,
as of recording or as of when this gets published?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Chris Taylor's here. Tim Ekkebus is here.
Construct.
Maybe I'm not here yet.
Bitch, are you here?
In the future, he's here.
What
Ask
day
me
is
again
it?
in an hour.
No, we can't wait that long. We have reviews to take care of, but we have chat to do first. How's everyone doing?
It's bold of you to assume that we're going to start reviews in less than an hour.
Oh, I know.
Fucking better. I'm out of here.
I'm shit fine. To do.
Yeah, like sleep. I've been like desperately pursuing a good night's sleep for a week now, and just hasn't come together. The stars have not aligned.
I actually got a new mattress yesterday, and I slept for the best I've slept in decades last night. Yeah. But it was still only like 5 hours.
Like on average, though, but how many hours of sleep do you guys tend to get?
7.5 is optimum.
About 3 to 5. 5 is a good night.
And usually I'm pretty good at it.
I think I need to start pursuing the whole optimal hours of sleep bit, because I'm pretty sure I get like 5 hours typically, and I think it's starting to affect me. So like now I got to try to get more, but that's not easy.
I'm thinking 6 over here, 6.5 maybe.
Oh, so you're like you're what is that thing they say, like flipping the bird, towing the curl.
What?
Gleaming the bar or whatever they call it. We're like,
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Me neither. Nope, no idea.
It's a turn of phrase, something like gleaming the cube. There it is.
Oh.
Nailed it.
Northern aphorisms here.
Yeah, we're too southern for that shit. We don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about either.
I'm lost.
Don't lump him in with us.
Yeah,
Pernell's got his own secret vocabulary.
That must be a coastal northeast thing.
Coastal elites.
You saw the secret world of water.
Anytime somebody says coastal,
right?
I end it with elites.
Coastal, yes. No one quite like us with our sandy beaches and our red water and whatever nasty crap.
Available seafood. Gosh.
I see, that is fantastic. I love our available seafood. Though, the annoying part is, like, we can't eat our fish anymore, so... like,
what?
Oh, yeah, like, we used to... Back when I was a kid, we used to fish around here all the time. Like, every summer, my dad, my brothers, and I would go fishing. You catch, like, catfish and trout and all that, whether it be in the ocean or the canal, take it home, clean it, and eat it. Now, the present, you're not allowed to eat more than, like, 1 or 2 fish per year from those bodies of water because of how gunked up they've become. But,
wow.
Yeah, so it's like, I honestly question where the marketable seafood is coming from nowadays.
Farms.
Huh?
Farms.
That sounds like about right there, because like the other place like that where, like, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the East Coast, Chris, is Baltimore. How they have the Baltimore Harbor, which is a massive body of water for the most part. But that water is so damn disgusting that what was it? There was like a period that happened a few years ago where a group of school kids were on a trip and they fell into the harbor. They had to get multiple shots because of all.
I was going to say, is
water with.
Is this real life, or are you like
This is real.
RoboCop.
No, that sounds about right.
That actually happened. Look it up after the show. Like some kids were on a school trip. They fell in the harbor playing around. And when they came out, they immediately had to go to the
horsing around.
Shots.
God damn, kids ruin everything.
Them and their horseplay. Their shenanigans. Their monkey shines.
Their orangutanics. Their orangutanics.
That's good. I like that.
I'm
pretty sure that at least one of those things that y'all said is racist.
Probably.
Orangutanics?
Monkey
Not
shines?
that one. That one's too good.
Monkey Shines was a movie. Actually, it was a horror movie back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember Monkey Bone with
I'm sorry,
that guy, Brendan Fraser.
Yeah,
I like Brendan Fraser, but I'm sorry you remember Monkey Bone.
I don't remember it. I remember the title of it. I saw the entire movie and I couldn't tell you one thing. Oh, Dave Foley was in it too. I like him.
Could have been Monkey Wrench if it came out a few years later again.
No, that's a Foo Fighter song.
Oh, that's what I mean, though. It would have featured the Foo Fighters song. Though no one, then they probably would have featured something like, This Is a Call instead, because that would have been funny. Like the hero of Monkey Wrench. He's a hero. Let's play this song instead. But I digress, and I'm doing that thing I do. Where I say
that's a tangent. That's a pretty unique tangent.
Whoa. Unique.
I got to raise the bar after that guest scenario. We went all over the place with that, so I got to raise the bar for the episode proper. Just how it is.
I know there were it felt like there were so many questions we could have asked, but we spent so much time, and I didn't want to eat up all of her afternoon.
Honestly, I feel like those end up being better anyway. It's like if you get more, it's like there's two types of interviews, well, three really. One interview, the worst type, is one where the guest comes on, they got nothing to say. They're just like, "Hi, I'm anxious to be here," and I have
those are fun, right, Cole?
Oh my god, those are the ones that we hang up and I go puke. Because I know it's up.
Like, Christ, how are we going to make this an episode? Okay, we'll take the 5 words they said.
We had one we recorded one time where it was like an hour-long interview, and after truncating silence, it was maybe 25 minutes.
No, it wasn't that bad. No, we've never had one that bad.
It felt like it.
Like the second kind
of, it would just be awkward. So I think it was one of those cases we couldn't play the game either because we didn't get a code for it, and
wow.
Yeah, that happens sometimes where we have an interview and we haven't been able to play the game yet. It's either not out or not ready, or
there was one time we did an interview and they just wouldn't approve us for the game. But I was doing an interview.
What? We did the interview but didn't get approved for the game.
Yeah.
It
doesn't even make sense.
It happens, y'all.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure it's okay to talk about because we work with them now and they love us now. We've done tons of work with them, but it was P-Cube. It was before we started working with them. To be fair, we're a nobody and they are a somebody. And I contacted them about doing a review and they were like, "I'm sorry, your numbers just aren't enough. We can't work with you right now." But I was in touch with the developer on Twitter, and I was like, "Do you want to come on the show?" So I set up an interview, and I sent it to P-Cube, and they've been working with us since.
That's pretty cool. Do you remember what game it was? You remember what game it was?
Cat Quest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. I feel like sometimes it's nice to studios take a chance on smaller, podcasts and reviewers and stuff because it's hard to get noticed. It's straight up hard to get noticed. And the fact that people are trying to put outside content that isn't the IGNs and the Kotakus or whatever.
Kotakus.
It's nice that they're even if they're not pulling those crazy numbers, they deserve to get some buzz, and you never know. Maybe something will click.
Well, it's the scope of people that are interested in playing games now is so absurdly large. I was reading a Twitter thread about this the other day about how Slime Rancher, is coming to Switch, and people were like, "Oh man, that's an underrated game," or something, some such. And it's 10 million people have played Slime Rancher on Steam and shit, and around on other platforms. It's just now coming to Switch. But then you consider Steam has 150 million users, but compared to the number of people that play Roblox, that is insignificant, and even more insignificant compared to the number of people that play games just on their phones. Like, the gaming space is so enormous, which is why, you never know when you put out a code or a review. Like, it is kind of has to be a shotgun approach. Like, you're just shooting it out there and hoping that, like, oh, somebody's going to listen to this or hear about it through this, and then it'll go, No.
Well, I think one of the things, too, is there's every 15-year-old who plays games wants to be a streamer or a YouTuber or
every 38-year-old too.
Yeah, every 38-year-old too, and I was about to say, like, every 30-year-old wants to be a podcaster, and like
you think you could just do what we do? You think you can just do what we do? Like, fucking nothing?
Sit in a chair and bark into a microphone about games?
You ain't bad. You ain't nothing.
You think you can just throw your fucking opinions out there on the internet like this? Like we do? Huh?
How hard I work to be the problem with gaming journalism. God damn it.
Some would say you were born that way.
Yeah.
My dad heard me raise my voice and he came over here to check on me.
Oh.
Yeah, the dogs are barking now. I hit the table.
Sorry, Wilfred, it's satire.
If anyone out there thinks they can manage these guys,
we can't manage these guys. We are these guys.
Honestly, the funny thing is, like Cole says, like, she's like, I'm the problem with game journalism. Like, I think it's funny because I think about it and like how I see people talk in like groups I'm in, and all they all read about, like, the problem with game journalism is game journalism. And I'm like, man, what?
Yeah.
It's like
I've had people telling me lately that I don't support women in gaming because I write about Call of Duty. And I'm like, I'm literally a woman in gaming, right?
And we literally just had on a female developer.
Yeah. And I'm
Call
just like,
Duty?
it's not.
No, not for Call of Duty.
Not for Call of
Oh,
Duty.
that would have been appropriate.
That would have been. But it's like, I'm sorry. Do you think I should just not pay my bills until everybody's not mad at Activision anymore? Because I gotta pay my bills.
It's like, but there's like, it always throws me off because like people have these like arguments about how they hate like games journalism, and I'm like, okay, so what is games journalism? And they all make these comments about they're like all these people who are bought and sold for their opinions, and nothing's
They're
real
paid for.
about
They
them.
aren't sold.
Yeah, the idea that you should plug away 60, 80, 100 hours a week playing games, writing about games, writing news and all that, and not be paid for it.
Well, the thing is, like, that
very
to me,
prevalent in gaming.
but that blows me away too, because like I get it's one thing to be like, getting paid for, but it's another thing to be like, we're getting paid or in games or money, and there's just somehow this fake belief that, well, if you don't write and say the right things, they won't give you money anymore. I'm like, well, one, a lot of the money's coming from the actual advertisements and the clicks from people, not from the actual.
Just to point out, we don't get money to cover any games on this show. We've never been paid to cover a game.
I mean,
speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. I get paid to write about shit.
I roll a cigar between my fingers.
I mean, people would be amazed just how many people out here are doing this that don't get paid for, but you can't tell them that, and their mind is, they're bought and sold. And then it becomes double funny because they'll say something like, for example, we'll do reviews on this show even, and you're like, well, can't really trust them. They're just saying it because they want to make it look good for the publishers. They can get more games. I'm like, okay. So are you telling me that somehow your opinion, Joe Anybody, is somehow just that much more relevant because you're not doing it on a show or for free? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, well, not really, because there's the other thing that happens when you buy a game that becomes like buyers, like, like you basically cover for yourself because now you pay for it.
Yep.
So you need to justify your purchase. So if anything, getting a game for free, I'm more inclined to bitch on it than if I paid money for it. Say with Eddie Joe Schmo. But like, it just blows my mind how like people think that you can't get decent opinions from reviewers because they think they're bought and sold or they're not authentic or genuine. I'm like, well, I don't know. I asked my friends what they think of the game, and she was like, well, the game's awesome. You got to get it. I'm like, why? Oh, it's just real good, man.
I
You
got
gotta
it.
get it.
Yeah, because I got it.
Because I got it.
So
I'm like,
surely it can't be bad, right?
well, that's a quality review. I'll go buy it too. Meanwhile,
I think that's an interesting conundrum, by the way. Like,
Excuse me, Kitty.
we, as reviewers, we don't have a sunk cost fallacy here.
Mhm.
Like, we didn't put the money into the game, and if it sucks, we're gonna tell you, because if we didn't pay for it, we don't give a fuck.
No.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
I think of that more often than not. Like, if anything, you would think I would feel bad when I get paid for writing a review for Windows Central, because they pay me to write that shit, and so now somebody's in money for me to play it.
And I gotta say too, and I wonder if you feel the same way about this. Like when I do my written review stuff, I feel like it's actually easier and more fun to write about a game that's bad. I don't know why. It's just great. So it's like
I will 100% feel guilty for giving a bad review every time, but
I don't.
When I'm playing one and I'm like, oh, this is gonna go down, it makes writing about them way easier, because I know that I'm gonna fill out 3,000 words of complaining. You know, I can do
you
that.
Get to get real creative. Like, how can I describe this as being shitty ball sack tips, but in a way that is, rated G or something?
How do I get that past my editors?
Like, it just becomes fun.
Because I did one time get popped on. I wrote a review for Rust, and the console port for Rust is really bad, right? I don't know. I haven't played it. I haven't gone back to it to see if it's any better. But at launch, it was about 3.5 years behind in updates from the PC version. So I was hard. I think I gave it a 2, and it was my first written review for Windows Central, and I completely lost my train of thought of where I was going. Oh, but like I fucking hated it, and I put it, and I was like, Rust is the kind of game that the people who got banned for being too unruly in Call of Duty go to. And the editor was like, you can't say that.
I picture the editor reading this as one of your first readings, like, this one was going to be a maverick.
I thought it was funny what he said.
But that review would imply that you were bought and sold, you see. So you can't be trusted.
Bought and paid for. Stop saying bought and sold.
I just feel like it makes you so upset that now I'm stuck on it. I'm consciously doing it. It's like, what? I didn't need to, but I did.
I'm going to start saying it now.
Pernell,
it just doesn't make any sense. I'm just saying. It's the last thing I'll say about it. There.
I mean, I can't knock that. I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong about that. It's the same thing when people say, I could care less. Like, well, clearly, you're not rock bottom on the care train then, are you? On the careometer. I could care less. Like, could you? Could you really? And no matter how many times you tell someone that, they still say it every time. I could care less. Well, do that. Maybe you should.
It's one of those wonderful little language things that, it doesn't make sense to say it correctly, but it does make sense to say it incorrectly.
Catch 'em.
Yeah.
Or the people who type would've.
Would've?
Yeah.
Would've? But, would've as in like WOULD apostrophe?
No.
V?
Would of OV, not OV. OF.
OF.
Christ.
Would of.
Oh God, people do that?
People who type would of are just messing
would have, could have, should have.
Oh God.
Yeah, I want to stab them all who do that.
Oh God. I'm thinking like, conjunction. Of course, that makes sense, but you're like, no, they actually type it in a fucked up manner. That's completely different.
Yeah, you've never seen that? How have you been on the internet and not see someone fuck that up?
Maybe I blocked it out because I see so many people on the internet fuck up so much. It's just kind of happens.
Such a broad establishment.
Aki, you will not stab me. By the way, jumping back to the whole being bought and paid for thing, Aki said that she demands back pay. Root Beer is my jam said that they get paid for heckling us, like Statler and Waldorf. And then immediately Moobot popped up and said, have any extra money? Give it to us.
Now that's how you advertise.
The timing of that Moobot was incredible. But speaking of all these reviews that we're bought and sold on.
Bought and sold, man.
Should we get to reviews?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah.
You were asking our opinion. Shit,
Cole didn't even answer. She's just like, whatever. I don't give a shit what you guys do.
I float by until I hear you ask me about a game.
Also, I think bought and sold does work. Maybe not as well, but it does work.
Okay, so first game to talk about tonight.
They are words that function in a sentence.
Oh, perfect. Joe's like, I'm going to cut you.
Oh, God, it's me first.
Yeah, it's you first.
Okay.
I'm glad someone read the lineup before we started.
I always read the lineup eventually.
I usually have the lineup up. That way I can see when I have to pay attention.
Good stuff. All right. First game to talk about tonight is called Space Invaders Invincible Collection, developed by Taito Corporation, published by ININ Games, released August 17th on the Switch for $59.99. One of the most important arcade classics in video game history is back, and Invincible, 11 masterpieces from the arcade specialist in one great collection. Chris, tell us about the Space Invaders Invincible Collection.
Okay, well, I'm glad that this one ended up in my lap because Taito is my favorite developer, actually. And of course, Space Invaders is where they made their name as a video game maker. So, everybody knows Space Invaders. So I don't have to talk about the gameplay at all, which is a relief. You're a little ship, and you go left to right, and then there's a bunch of aliens that come down in in a row, basically, and you're supposed to shoot them all before they get to the bottom.
That's Space Invaders. Everyone knows it.
That's Space Invaders. Yeah, it was made in the 70s, and there's like a million of them though. So, but this Invincible collection, while a full-priced game, and I assume that's because of the physical version, which ININ, I think, also came out with $100, $100-something like special edition too. I haven't really looked at it. I'm
surprised. I thought you would have been all over that.
Well, here's the thing. I own so many iterations of Space Invaders, and in fact, the Invincible. Oh, look, how about it? I do a review on this game, and then we'll talk about why I don't own it, or why I didn't buy the physical.
There,
I'm getting pushed ahead of myself.
Well, tell us what's in the collection.
Hell yeah. So this is, I would say, probably the largest single collection of just Space Invaders and a couple of other things that I've seen. So it does, of course, include the original black and white Space Invaders original version. And of course, all these games come with all kinds of little options that you can set: difficulty, lives counters, Tate mode where applicable, so you can play it on its side with your flip grip if you have one. And so you've got your original, 1978. That's right, Space Invaders, and then you have the color version, which is a separate game. Which is interesting. So you got the color version that came out just a little bit later. Then you get part 2, which is Space Invaders, but they put a part 2 in the title. Just kidding. Tatas mode, nice. I like it. No, the cool thing about 2, I guess, is that some of the aliens split apart. There's a little bit of difference here and there, but I mean, if you handed this to somebody and you're like, "Hey, this is Space Invaders, not part 2," they'd be like, "Oh yes, I believe you," and then you've betrayed their trust. So it's Space Invaders part 2. It's the same thing. Then they skipped part 3 because it was too similar to part 2. I don't know if that's the reason, but that is the truth. There was a Return of the Invaders that is exactly Space Invaders, but a couple other different things happen. And then they added in 2 games that use the basically the foundation and most of the wood of the Space Invaders house, but they built 2 very similar looking games called Space Cyclone and Lunar Rescue. They're basically like Space Invaders, but technically they are different games, legally speaking. Speaking of which, they have this museum mode which describes all the games to you, which I really enjoy. One of the things that I like that they noted about Space Invaders Part 2 is that this is the first Japanese game to be protected by copyright, an important precedent for the industry going forward. That's how much they have to say about Space Invaders Part 2. That they dedicated an entire English sentence to talking about how it's the first Japanese game that was copyrighted. And I mean, thank God too, because I mean, this game was so huge in Japan that like everybody had an Invaders. Like Invaders was like Pac-Man in how much it got cloned, like just constantly. Okay, so now it gets interesting. They skipped 3, like I said. They gave 2 games that are similar but not the same. They're just still ship moving back and forth and fighting aliens. Space Light Clone actually is pretty cool though, and I recommend you play it. And by the way, all of these games are multiplayer. Either they take turns or, well, actually no, there's one that's not. Never mind. We'll get to that one. But so the reason I say this is because it's gonna come up at some point. They're usually like 2-player alternate turns, but there's one that does split screen 2-player, and we'll get to that one. So, okay, the 4th game is on here, Space Invaders 91, also known as the Majestic 12. The reason why I know this is because both games are included separately as just 2 separate versions of the same game. And I played Space Invaders 91 before. Like it came out on Super Nintendo.
I remember. I remember.
Yeah. The difference between them is that in Majestic 12 you can choose what stage you want to start on, and in Space Invaders 91 you cannot. Therefore, 2 separate games. Now we get into we get into 94 with Space Invaders DX. Now, this is going to be confusing, right? So we've got Space Invaders in this collection we have Space Invaders the original, Space Invaders in color. Space Invaders DX also in itself includes the original Space Invaders and Space Invaders in color. It's a 3-pack game that also comes with like the split screen 2-player mode. But yeah, it's based on the Super Nintendo port, so it actually is slightly different. Like the screen's a little bit wider, so I don't think it does Tate mode. But it's just so funny to me that like it's a game that also includes the first 2 games, and that's how Space Invaders works. They keep just piling them on. By the way, and this is completely aside from the review, I swear it won't be long. The original black and white Game Boy game, Space Invaders, not the Game Boy Color black cartridge Space Invaders, but the gray cartridge. If you pop that into a Super Game Boy, you can play the Super Nintendo version of Space Invaders. I don't know why, but they included an upgrade to the Super Nintendo version of the game in the Game Boy game. It's
I'm
ridiculous.
so confused what we're at right now.
I know.
I've heard Space Invaders so many times.
I know. They don't even call it Space Invaders in Japan. They just call it Invaders because, the space is implicit. Okay, so that's DX, which again, it's just for folks who want to play like a different. Well, I mean, this whole thing is for people who just want to play a slightly different version of the game. But then we get to what I would say is one of the 2 crown jewels in this collection, and that is Space Invaders Extreme. So when Square Enix bought Taito, when they merge conglomerate, whatever corporations do when they shift money around and have each other's names. This one came out on the DS and the PSP, and it is badass. It is a very, very cool update on the Space Invaders formula. It's got like this pounding soundtrack. It's got like all these different like upgrade shots and like different patterns and like really interesting things. It's also like really manic. It's got like a lot of flashing and explosions and things like that all over the screen. It's a super good time, and I have both of the Space Invaders Extreme games on the DS, which, by the way, they didn't include the second one. They only included the first one. But this is the first time that it's on a system as like part of a collection and all that stuff. Bless you. So that's really cool. And then the last thing that they have is Space Invaders Gigamix 4 SE, which is, I don't know. But what it is it's a really cool, like, 4-player couch co-op take on Taito's flagship Invaders of Space game. So what it is that you basically, you can have up to 4 players. You could attempt this 1 player if you want, but it's basically you get 4 ships and they just dump them on the screen at the same time, and then you have 4 screens worth of aliens to fight. It's ludicrous. It's like hundreds of aliens. Yeah. And here's the thing, though. It starts off as just Space Invaders, and you're like, okay, so this is like Space Invaders, and then 4 people, like, play at the same time. But then once you inevitably lose, or I guess win, I don't know, I didn't win. It changes where now you are fighting like different invaders that are coming in from different patterns, and a little bit more like Galaga. And when you shoot them, they get bigger and then bigger and bigger and bigger, and you have to like shoot them until they explode. And then you have a boss fight where you have to fight a gigantic UFO, and with like a huge life bar and stuff. And once you do that, you gain the power to actually combine your ships together with the other players, and everybody like shoots these like high powered shots depending on how many ships you've got like together. It's a real trip, and it's really, really cool. Okay, that's all the content on this here piece of software. So my thing about it, I love all of these games, of course. I enjoy Space Invaders. I especially love Extreme, and I'm really excited about Gigamix 4 SE. Now, the thing about this versus what else is available on the Switch, they've already come out with Space Invaders Forever. Now, what Space Invaders Forever has is the Extreme, the Gigamax 4 SE, and then another game that's not on this game. So it's 3 games on that collection, which is Arkanoid versus Space Invaders, which is where they combined Arkanoid, which is, break them all, and the paddle like with the ball and breaking blocks and stuff. They like combine those, and then that one's not on this version. It's available as download. Arkanoid versus Space Invaders. Oh, it is? Yes, is included as additional download. Interesting. So that might be it might have been something that wasn't up until launch, which was today. Oh, okay. I might have to check that out then. I thought that was I had read something about that was included in the Japanese version, but I didn't know if it was going to be included in this version. Well, that's cool. In that case, if you were just interested in those 3 games, there's a whole nother piece of software that already has them, and it's $30, not $60. So I think that this is a really cool like collection. I especially appreciate the Lunar Rescue and Space Cyclone that were included. I, of course, think that they could have included more. For instance, like they had Space Invaders 95, the Attack of the Lunar Loonies, which is actually already on a collection. It was on Taito Legends 2, and it's really good. I also would have liked to see Invader, like Extreme 2, come out on this, since they already have Extreme 1. I was like, why not? And also it would have been really cool to see like Space Invaders Infinity Gene, which is like one that combines Space Invaders with an RPG. No. Which is really interesting. Given that Arkanoid versus Space Invaders is available as a download, perhaps we might see future titles come as DLC. I really hope so. And I feel like including Extreme means that maybe we'll see Extreme 2 as well. And that's my biggest hope for this collection. However, what's here is quite a lot. Yeah. So is it worth the $60 price tag? I'd say, definitely if you're getting the physical version, that's just a full price game. Really, it just depends on how much you like the game, like the original game. Extreme is cool though. Like I would say that it's worth it just to get Extreme and to get Gigamix, but the fact that they've already put those on a much cheaper collection kind of shoots that in the foot. So it's kind of like, is Space Invaders 91, DX, Majestic 12, Space Cyclone, Lunar Rescue, Space Invaders Part 2, and the 2 arcade versions of Space Invaders, is that worth $30 more? And at that point, I would say, yeah, definitely if you're an old arcade head, for sure. Apart from that, if it seems like if you like the game, but you want a little bit more out of it than just the classic gameplay, then you might seek out that cheaper one. No. But for me, of course, it is definitely a buy it because this is the granddaddy of all shmups. It's really, really good, and they did a good job like putting it all together and giving you great options and stuff. And of course, can't wait to one day maybe be able to hang out with 3 other people and say, hey, you want to try 4-player Space Invaders?
But what is a shmup?
Oh, I'm glad you asked.
Okay, so next game to talk about is called Hades, developed and published by Supergiant Games, released August 13th on Xbox One, Series X and S, PS4, and PS5 for $24.99. As the immortal prince of the underworld, you'll wield the powers and mythic weapons of Olympus to break free from the clutches of the god of the dead himself while growing stronger and unraveling more of the story with each unique escape attempt. Tell us about your time with Hades.
Let me go ahead and disclaimer here. I love this game, but I can't pronounce hardly any of these fucking names. So, Tim might have to fill in for that shit. Right. Because with this accent, that ain't happening. Okay? I'm not even trying. You are playing as the unruly sun. Huh? No.
No, with that accent, please try.
No, I already know my limitations. I can't even say "pa" properly, and y'all want me to pronounce mythological god names. No.
You read it clean.
So, you are playing as the son of Hades, and he is trying to escape.
What's his name?
No.
Zagreus.
It starts with a Z.
They do say the names in the game.
I know it, but with this accent, it sounds funny.
Come on, say Zagreus.
Zagreus.
That's fine.
That's great. Bad.
Okay, fine. I'm bothered by it.
Call him Zaggy if you want.
Now I'm all fucking like flushed and stuff.
See money.
Didn't want to say it.
Rock.
That sounds perfectly fine.
God damn it. Anyway, yeah, he's trying to escape. Him and his dad have a really shitty relationship, as you do. And the other gods and goddesses are his aunts and uncles and cousins, and they're trying to help him escape. And so it is it is a roguelike, and you are going through, and every time you'll make it a little bit further. If you're lucky, sometimes you won't, and you'll just have to start again. But ultimately, you are just hacking and slashing your way through hell, and it's wonderful. It's gorgeous. The writing and dialogue is witty and entertaining, and the character interactions make you look forward to having more.
And I'm blown away by how much dialogue is in this game. I've gone through so many runs, and every single time there's something new that they have to say, referencing what I've done, how I failed, what I didn't do. It impresses me how specific they get with some of their comments in the banter between characters in between runs. Yep.
I really love the way that they build in the different little elements like that. Even sometimes
I have played at least like 70 hours of that game, and I have not expended all the dialogue yet. Like there are some things that will repeat at a certain point, but like there will still be new things for the characters to say. It's insane.
It really is. And I had one run where like I didn't smash any pots because in the beginning I was like, I don't know if y'all remember Immortal Redneck, but there was a thing that could make the pots poison you. That's a good way to break yourself from breaking pots in a game. Okay. Right. And so like I was going through and I was just being like super careful because I was like, if ever there was a game that was going to have poison pots like Immortal Redneck, it would be Hades, right?
I was going to say, as a Dragon Quest fan, I am clutching those pearls right now.
I'm triggered by pots at this point. I have PTS potty.
PTS potty.
Yeah. So, it's a problem for me. And so, like, even then there was something like, oh, you didn't make as big a mess this time. And I was like, wait. So I was really impressed where, the things that are seemingly mundane, but they come back. And then, of course, I got hounded for making a mess once I started to, like, there's an upgrade that you can get that puts pots with money in them. Initially, the pots don't have gas. and they don't kill you. And, but they also don't have money in them unless you upgrade and renovate, hell. And until you can get money out of pots, or as you gradually like collect gems and stuff to upgrade, then different parts of the house become available to you. You can have conversations with different characters. It's all very well done. It's all very nice. I like the whole concept that Cerberus is just Cerberus. I can't say it. Fuck.
You made it there. It's good.
Yeah, Cerberus.
Cerberus.
The redneck is coming out.
The 3-headed dog thing.
Yeah. He looks like Clifford the Big Red Dog, but with 3 heads.
Clifford the Big Red Dog with 3 heads is really burying the lead with the first part of that name.
Cliffordicus.
But, yeah, I love the whole like concept that like while you're gone trying to escape, he's just destroying shit. So yeah, I just love the variety and the weapons and the way that you can approach it. One of my absolute favorite things is that there is a God mode that you can turn on. And if you are getting the shit kicked out of you, you can turn on God mode and you don't take as much damage from enemies. And every time you die, you get a little more damage resistance. And there is no punishment for that. It doesn't dock how much money or other collectible items you can acquire. It doesn't dock what kind of perks and upgrades you can come across. It
doesn't shit talk you.
It doesn't like, shit talk. Yeah, even
playing on easy.
He already fucking hates you, and he still doesn't even shame you for playing on easy. And it doesn't lock out achievements. Like, that shit's perfect. It made me so happy.
Hades is like, look, I'm evil, but I'm not Twitter.
Right? Yeah. Oh, I hope they put that in there. That would be wonderful. Yeah, I fell in love with the game. I was hopelessly addicted to it. Every time that I made it a little farther, I just felt like the ultimate badass. And I was playing on God mode. I had no reason to feel so proud of myself. But it's still hard. Like I still took 4 or 5 tries before I beat I don't want to spoil who the bosses are. It took 4 or 5 tries before I beat the first boss. It took me 3 or 4 tries to beat the second one. I don't know that I'll ever beat the third one because they like to kick my ass. But
third one is a pile of shit. That is a big block.
A lot of people have said
really
that
difficult.
The third one is harder than the final boss.
It's arguable, but it's
I don't know that I will get there to find out. Even with God, maybe I have now beefed myself up to where I have like 60% damage resistance. Because
I thought you were going to make a comment, and I'm only bringing this up because I know Tim's done this 95 gajillion times. But for a second, I thought you were about to bring up the whole idea, like when you were like, and like that you got to the end, and that you were about to say, he's like, I don't think I'll ever beat the game. And I'm like, from what I've heard from people, though, if you beat the game, you didn't really do anything because the game is designed in a weird way like that.
Yeah, but, this is absolutely one of those where, like, beating the game is just an excuse to play it again kind of thing. Even without having beating it. I know that. That's just the way roguelikes work. This kind of roguelike anyway. I've played some that aren't like that, but as far as something like Hades would go, it's very Binding of Isaac and like, oh, you beat it, so now you do it again.
Cole, we've heard your opinion as someone who's new to the game. Tim, you have poured an endless amount of time into this game since it, first released on the Switch?
Yes. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the game?
I played it within the last few months. Oh, well, it was my game of the year for last year. I did call it a perfect game. Which doesn't mean it's the best game ever, but it is. I cannot
pretty goddamn close.
It's like I can't find flaw in what they set out to do. So it's just like whether it's your cup of tea or not. Like, but they didn't like. There's nothing that I'd say, well, that's bad. And I did revisit it because it is available on Game Pass.
Hell yeah.
So, I wanted to check it out again. So starting afresh with none of the progression, which was a shock to the system. It's like, oh, right, I can't heal at all ever. That may be of the game.
That may be the biggest downfall of the game, though, is that if you're the Steam and Switch versions are cross-save, but it's not Xbox. So if you are going from one of the other platforms to Xbox, you're just shit out of luck.
Yeah. So getting back into it, I was just like, oh, geez, right, I forgot about this. But, the way that the game does progress itself is really pretty fantastic because there is a lot of things to eventually do and upgrade to, make your character stronger, give yourself more variety, make the runs more various or easy or hard or whatever. But it's very gradual. It's like, okay, you go in, you're going to die on that first run unless you're like a crazy speedrunner person. So it's like you get like a little bit of currency and like maybe a couple of the keys. So you get back to base and you're like, okay, well, I can maybe upgrade my health or damage a little bit. And then I might be able to unlock one of the other 4 starter weapons. Then you go again and then you come back and it's like, okay, well, now the house contractor is there. So now you can start making upgrades to the dungeon itself, which is when you can add healing fountains. And it's like, oh, okay. And then you'll come back and it's like, oh, okay, well, we've rebuilt the lounge after Cerberus destroyed it. So now you can do that. And it's like, okay, well, now you're starting to pick up these flasks of nectar, which you can give to characters to get their tokens, which you can equip on yourself, which will give you benefits on your runs. It's like, okay, now you're doing that. And now you have different weapons. And then eventually, there's not, I don't know, 9, 10 or so gods that you'll eventually meet, and one of them you don't even meet until you've made it out to the surface one time. And so then there's that, and then there's more charms you can get from certain characters that let you do summons later on, and then you can upgrade your familiarity with them more and build like social link type things. And then it's just like it keeps building and building and building and building until there's all these systems, but it doesn't load you with them all up front.
It's very much one of those circumstances where you always feel like you're progressing even though you failed.
Yeah, 100%.
And there are a lot of roguelikes that are just like, you fail, get fucked, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that does make a roguelike like Hades shine is that you're always getting somewhere. Even like my first run, I might have made it 3 rooms, and I come out and I was like able to unlock a new weapon, and I was able to buy this upgrade, and I was still able to progress quite a bit, even though I hadn't made it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it never was like, oh, well, you died on room 2, fuck you. It was like, no, you still got some shit. Good job.
Yeah, there's always just like a little bit more dialogue.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say the one thing in coming back to it on Xbox is that this is like the exact same version. Like there is nothing new. Like it doesn't run. I mean, it ran great even on the Switch. It ran great, and it runs great here. So there's not like a big performance upgrade. I don't think they added anything to it in terms of content. So if you are a existing Hades player, there's not really any reason other than perhaps convenience to get involved in the new releases.
Or achievements, if you're into that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, there's
or
Chivos.
if you don't have a Switch and you want to play it on the go, xCloud.
A lot of people haven't had a Switch, and this is the chance for PlayStation and Xbox gamers to finally see what all the fuss is about. And $24.99 is it worth the fuss?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. Unequivocal. Like no catches here.
I would like to point out too that because my computer has been playing like shit lately, I need to fuck with my drivers. But when my kids are on the Xboxes, I've been sitting here playing Hades on the PC via xCloud. And you would think that if any game was going to fumble, it would be Hades, right? Because you've got to hit them dodges and shit. No, it's flawless. I couldn't complain if I tried.
Try.
I can't.
Oh, we tried.
Yeah, I did my best.
Zagreus' eyelids split like slightly slower than they did on the console because he can't keep up with those delicious pearly eyes.
But I know that's something people were like concerned with. They were like, "Oh, I only pay for Game Pass through xCloud, and there's no way it could possibly be fast enough for Hades." And like, no, it fucking is. It really is.
Yeah.
Root Beer says Switch sold 80 or 90 million units. Let's be real, everyone has a Switch. No, still a couple people
we
that don't.
We just talked about the scope of the video game market earlier in this episode. It is massive. Some people don't even look at what is going on the Switch at all.
Yeah.
So some people they got their Xbox, they got their Game Pass, and that's it.
Some people have their PlayStation, and that's all they want to have. So now Hades is available for everyone.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
People got their XI. Some people got their Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
Got my Wonder Swan over here. Don't need nothing else.
Got my Philips CDI. Next game to talk about is called Dodgeball Academia, developed by Pocket Trap, published by Humble Games, released August 5th on Xbox One, Switch, and PC for $24.99. Dodgeball Academia is a sports RPG game featuring rookie dodgeball student Otto. In a world where dodgeball is life, players join Otto at the academy to train to become the ultimate dodgeball champion. Across 8 episodes, players will forge friendships and create rivals, all in the name of developing the best dodgeball team. Pernell, tell us about your time with Dodgeball Academia.
If there were a game that I was not expecting to show up in the year 2021, that wasn't a much anticipated sequel, it was probably a dodgeball RPG that was written to be like a shonen anime. But here we are. That's what Dodgeball Academia is. It is essentially a person who decided they wanted to make an RPG based off of a shonen, or built like a shonen, around the idea of playing. Holy crap, what is that?
Sorry, that's me. I'm adjusting my chair.
Sounds like you're about to have a shonen episode.
Tim's just beating the shit out of his chair over there.
Got it. No, I got a brand new chair. It's not beat to shit. It's awesome. It's comfortable.
Papa's got a brand
It's currently being beaten to shit.
That's the noise it makes when I'm adjusting the height of the back piece.
But, like, as far as this game goes, the idea behind it is that you play as the kid Otto, a person who kind of sneaks into Dodgeball Academia, or Dodgeball University, or whatever the heck the school is called. It just throws me for a loop. And this school is essentially the place where kids go to become pro dodgeball players. And the anime-ish aspect of it is that there is a ball nestled in the center of the school that is lodged in a rock, like a dodgeball, that is constantly spinning. It's been spinning for decades, and it hasn't stopped. It is also what powers the school. Kids go and touch the ball, and it charges them, or rather imbues them with energy, which allows them to learn a ultimate move, which I'll tell you about in a second. But it goes through the whole anime tropes thing where this kid's like the underdog, and he's become like the star of the / hero of the school through a series of episodes and tournament stages and all that. But what I'll say about that stuff, because it's pretty much just like a rote story, pretty much, is that it's actually an entertaining story in that they write it very well. And it is one of those cases where, just like on Hades, you guys were saying, man, this game has so many spoken lines of dialogue. I got to flat out say, as much as I enjoy the script in this, I am glad none of the lines are spoken, because, again, this is meant to be like a shonen, and I can imagine how these kids would sound. Yeah. But as far as their art design goes, their designs, they look awesome. Very unique personalities for dating. It's a beautiful game. But as far as how the gameplay works now, so as you play across this game, you will be doing a few things. Like, primarily in RPG fashion, you're going to be running around the school campus grounds, either to move the story along or to fulfill like side missions and side quests and the like. You progress around the school by being able to run or like walk and jump. But if you want to speed run across the campus, you can press a button to roll into a ball. I don't know why that's the thing, but whatever. All that matters is that when you're a ball, you go really fast, which means you get around school quickly, which is all I care about.
Go fast.
So you're pretty much moving around school doing your thing. However, what is it that makes this an RPG? Well, battles do take place in this game, and all of the battles are in the form of dodgeball battles. If it's not a story battle specifically, there are battles that take place on the map itself, depending on the episode you're on. And this is done in a style very similar to Pokemon, where if you cross the eye line of a student, they'll stop you and go, "Hey, shorts are comfy and easy to wear," and then you get into a dodgeball battle. And when you get into a dodgeball battle, this is where the game ends up being really freaking cool. Because if you played Super Dodgeball back in the day on the NES, you already want this game. But for those who have not, the idea then becomes once you get into a battle, you'll end up in a skirmish between on a dodgeball mat with 1 to 3 players on each side, of varying counts, by the way, because sometimes it'll be 1 against 4 and weird crap like that. And when it starts, balls will show up in the center of the mat. Sometimes they'll be on the line. Sometimes they'll all be on the one side of the map. So basically one person starts out with an advantage or whatever. Everyone has hit points. At the start of the match, rush, grab balls. And then the chaos begins. If you're doing a 3-person match, you're actually controlling all 3 characters at the same time, kind of like following behind the leader. And you can switch between them at will. Ball throws that you can do. You can do a normal ball throw. You can do a focused ball throw where you charge the shot up and every kid has a different special shot, like a fireball or an electric ball or a spinning ball or, God, there's a lot of special shots. There is, a counter or grab, depending on your character. And there's also a jump or a dodge, again, depending on your character. As you do these matches and you have these encounters like this, and there's a focus shot too. The way the focus move works is that if there are balls on the other side of the mat, you can hold down a button to charge up your key, which can give you a special ability so long as you don't get interrupted before it goes off. Like some can charge up their ultimate meter, some can increase their hit points, some can increase your stats, whatever. And then lastly, once your ultimate meter goes to the max, you can press the left trigger button and unleash your super move. One kid, the main character, for example, gets a freaking dodgeball Kamehameha. And it shoots across the screen, and anybody that gets hit gets set on fire and doused about the screen. It's ridiculous. One character can drop lightning from the sky in the form of lightning dodgeball. She makes it rain lightning dodgeballs. Crazy, ridiculous shonen shit, but I love it to death. Now, the weird thing about this game is that back at the beginning of the game, I was like, it's dodgeball. This isn't hard. This is pretty freaking easy. Catch the ball, throw them back. But as the game starts to expand on the rules opening up, as they get to the point where you start getting the rule sets where characters end up on the outer rim of the line when they get knocked out so they can throw balls in, and multiple characters throwing special focus shots and special shots, it gets confusing. You are freaking out. You got balls falling from the sky. You got balls spinning in front of you. You got slow pitches, fast pitches. You're going to get your ass kicked sometimes. And that's cool because that means that the game doesn't quickly become an easy process of just it's not a complicated, it's a simple game. Whatever, it's dodgeball. No, it's fucking chaos, and I love it. Aside from just the normal game that I just described, every time you win a battle, you get experience points. And when you level up, you gain sometimes a bit of stat bumps on your character. Sometimes you will get a special ability that will be added to your character. Nothing overly complicated, though. It'll be something like move augmentations, like now your attack does extra damage, or now your attack can also electrocute people, stuff like that. But it's still cool to see these new abilities get unlocked for your characters as you level up and grow them. The music is freaking stellar too. Again, shonen music. I actually have been listening to the music because a really kind individual has managed to rip some of the OST and slap it on YouTube. So I've been bopping to it at work. It's got good music. This game is one that I have been thoroughly enjoying. It's a game that I'm sure many people, if they're listening to this, are like, what the fuck is a dodgeball RPG? And no one saw that coming. I never wanted that. Well, I'm here to tell you, you kind of do. This is a game you didn't know you wanted, But now that it exists, you owe it to yourself to play it because it is worth every penny, and it is honestly fairly creative in the sense of what it actually is. Because can you think? First of all, dodgeball games in general are freaking rare. I mean, if it's not Kunio-kun, it doesn't exist. And then aside from that, done in this manner, it's just great. And it came out of left field, no less. So to me, this is a no-brainer buy. I was already considering to buy before the review code came in, and then getting the review code just kind of solidified the fact that if I didn't know better, I would have bought it anyway because this game is it's fantastic. It's good.
Now you could buy it on Switch.
I'm cheap, man. You know how many games I'm playing? But if I didn't get it for free, I would have bought it. And I'm
gift it to someone.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I'm cheap, brother. I'm cheap.
Well, for the people who are cheap, it is also available as a part of Xbox Game Pass.
There you have no excuse not to try it then. Get on that shit. Throw some flaming hot spiky spider balls.
All right, next game to talk about is called Beat Souls, developed and published by Zoo Corporation, released July 29th on Steam for $11.99. Dive into the cyber pop world of Beat Souls, dodge and dance your way to a high score in this intense rhythm action game. Tim, tell us about your time with Beat Souls.
All right, not a Souls game, or not a Souls-like. I guess there are souls, and Souls is in the title, so it is a Souls game, but it's not that kind of Souls.
Is it the Dark Souls of rhythm games?
Not really.
That would be Mad Mice.
Wet pancakes!
Oh man, there's a pull. All right, so this little rhythm game here. So you got your it is very bright and colorful, and man, like the graphics of this game, it is a colorful, candy colored feast for your eyes. Trying to make you have a seizure. It feels like. So you have your lane of it's 5 lanes long in total, or 5 slots long, as it were. You have your little anime girl who's on the bottom of the lane, and on either side of her there are 2 little note block things that you can switch the color from yellow to blue, which may come in. Which will come into play. And so I believe you are running up the lane. It is not coming at you. You are going at it. But as you go up the lane, so these wall things will come at you that you kind of have to dip and dodge around. And there will be little note blocks, which will either be yellow or blue, depending on how hard the game wants to fuck you over. It knows that color changing is hard to process with everything else that's going on the screen. So it's more on further difficulty levels. So what you are trying to do is move so you want your character to be in line such that the 2 things on either side of you hit those notes and they're patterned out in that way. So you don't want your character running into them. You want these notes running into them. And you don't want your character to run into walls that are coming at you. So it's kind of a little weird to wrap your head around in that way. Think of it like the Turbo Tunnel a little bit. It's sort of like a vertical scrolling rhythm Turbo Tunnel, sort of like from Battletoads. So your character, you are trying to dodge walls. There's will be little strips on the floor that you have to jump over. And you want to guide your little note flames into the flames that are on the track. And in addition to by default, there's one to your left, one to your right, and they will follow you as you move left to right across the lanes. But you can also push them both to one side or the other. So you will have 2 to one side or 2 to your right side, which you will need to do at some point because that's how it will stack the notes against you. So I played it using the keyboard, and I used A and D to just move my character left and right. I used the arrow keys to that controlled the my little spirit note things to flip from one side to the other, and that up and down controls the color change, and then I just use the space bar to jump. So you use that to guide your way through the levels while this bombastic, mostly EDM music is playing. And at the other end of a track is some little anime girl who seems to be trying to make your life miserable for some reason. The game is not light on explaining exactly what's going on, but it doesn't matter. Who cares? I don't. Like, don't. I mean, in all fairness, like, don't give me like a bunch of bullshit story like when I just want to play the damn game, and it does that. It just gets you in playing the damn game. So I'm totally down for that. So, running into walls, that will hurt you. Missing notes, that will hurt your score. I did not fail a level. I did not try to fail a level either. I didn't just like throw myself into walls trying to see what would happen. I think you might just get a poor rating, but perhaps if your character dies, because they do have a life bar, then you will fall. So there are 45 songs, 45 levels in total, broken down across 3 different characters. So it's basically like 3 different background schemes. And as you progress, you will unlock a hard mode of those stages. You will unlock the other 3 characters to play as, and they have different bonuses as far as like how much damage things do to you, or how how much you can miss to keep a combo going or something like that. So there are some issues with the game. All of the music is done by one guy. It seems like that I saw, like every single song is done by one guy. So it's kind of hurting a little bit for variety, even if there are songs that are like a little more, electric rock and not just straight EDM or techno. It's still like kind of all the same. Still, it's all coming from the same guy, and you can tell.
It's like in AEW where you could tell Mikey Ruckus does everybody's theme song.
Yeah, you could definitely tell. And so there's kind of there are some songs that are stand out more than others, and some is just kind of like whatever. The actual execution of rhythm in terms of like having your actions line up with the beats of the music seems to be a bit scattershot, which you think would be like kind of a deal breaker for a rhythm game, but and it will be for some people. It's just like if you're going into this like, well, I need to line up my, if you're looking for the beat to try to line up your movements and your control inputs, I think you're going to have a bad time most of the time. There are some levels and some sections where that lines up very, very well. But for the most part, it just ends up being kind of a very fun, like arcadey action game to play with a bit of a musical rhythm element into it. I think also people could be overwhelmed by the visuals because there is just like a lot going on the screen. It is very colorful in the way the effects pop off and things go on in the background. And when you pop fever mode, it gets even crazier. But I found like myself having a very tough time putting it down. Like I just always wanted to play like one more song. I was pretty much just addicted to the tippy tappy gameplay of like whipping my character around, whipping my little soul fairy things around, and had a really good time just playing the game, rhythm or no. Like I mentioned, you also own like hard versions of the songs. Most of the songs on normal are pretty fucking easy to get through until you get to like the last couple songs of a particular character set. And then it's like, hey, we're going to change the color a lot. Hope you like to suddenly feel like a piece of shit. You will also unlock a infinite hell mode where it will just keep mixing in different songs from the 3 characters and just go until you fail. Which that is that's a fun score challenge thing, and that has leaderboards, and you can have a grand old time with that. But like, overall, the music is kind of hit or miss. I think the visuals, like, I really like them for how colorful and explosive they are. They're very engaging. It was very easy for me to like just kind of zone out and bomb through like a bunch of songs. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, cool, despite kind of some shortcomings.
Also, $12. What's your verdict?
Yeah, I think it's worth it. Especially if you're going to get into a bit. Like, you will bomb through those songs like pretty quickly, but the point of a rhythm game is to replay and get those perfect scores. And also, as I foreshadowed last week, the game does have a demo. Yay. So you can download the demo, which I would recommend to see if it sends you to the hospital. just in case. I'm sure people that suffer from that are very aware and might just take a look at a trailer for this and be like, oh, God, no.
Aki, go load the store page. Tell us if you pass out.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Tell us if you pass out.
Yeah, I definitely I think it's worth it to buy, and I would strongly recommend, at minimum, checking it out, because I had a lot of fun with it.
Cool. All right, well, that's it for you, Tim. I guess we'll let you get going.
I guess you will, yeah. All right.
Cool.
Nice.
Do you have any final words?
No.
No?
I don't.
CM Punk?
CM Punk? Who's that? CM who? I don't know.
Your
what
sleep
you're
is bought and sold, buddy. Get some sleep.
Did you see the fucking shit where he was commentating MMA this past weekend, and like his partner was like, "Oh, looks like such and such is going back to wrestling, and Punk's like, "Yeah, he looks all elite in there." And I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ, this is either like going to be awesome for him coming back, or awesome for being the most titanic troll job of all time.
Yeah, it's
one of the two.
I can't wait. Friday's going to be fun.
Can't wait. How I live my life.
Either just incredible or the biggest troll job.
Exactly.
All right. See everybody later.
All right. Next game to talk about is called Jelly Break Deluxe, developed and published by ByteRockers Games, released August 12th on Xbox One, Series X and S, PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC for $19.99. Stay together, play together. In Jelly Break Deluxe, you have to save the Jelly's home planet from the evil blob as Jell and Lee. As a team, you have to use all your abilities to survive against the ever-changing enemy types, because the challenging jump and run passages can only be mastered together with your partner. Cole, tell us about your time with Jelly Break Deluxe.
That's not entirely true, because you can't play the game single player.
Oh, that's good.
There is a solo mode. In solo mode, you are controlling both of the jellies, one stacked on top of the other. Actually, I would argue the game is easier in solo mode. I didn't get a chance to play it co-op because we're in homeschool hell right now, trying to get everything situated. Excuse me. But I was doing a little bit of research, so I at least knew what I was talking about when it came to co-op mode. And people were saying, like, in order to master it with a friend, like, you might not have a friend when you're done. Which was funny, because playing it solo, I was like, oh, this is far easier than I was anticipating. One of your jellies is orange, the other is green, and basically it's a platformer, but it has twin stick shooting elements. So
you got Carnage's attention, I'm sure.
Yeah, I figured that was going to be the case. So basically, you're platforming your way through the level. Every now and then there might be some enemies that you either need to jump on or you need to shoot at. Whichever jelly's on top will do the shooting. Now, the trick with the platforming is that one jelly's green, one jelly is orange. If the platform that you are trying to jump on is green, the green jelly needs to be at the bottom. If the orange jelly is at the bottom, you're going to fall through it. So you have to color match the bottom jelly to the platform all the time. When you start to describe that, then you understand why co-op is kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
When you are just playing solo, though, you can just jump and switch midair. I don't know if maybe it's just because I play a fuck ton of platformers and stuff, and I'm better at it than I think I am. But like I said, I didn't think it was overwhelmingly difficult. I did have a gripe, though. Ma'am, you cannot chew on my headset. Cat. I did have an issue where each level has secret jellies in them, and you have to go and find them and break the glass and release them. You will eventually get to a point where your progress is locked because you don't have enough jellies to go forward.
Don't like when games do.
And they force you to go back and find the secrets. If I've beat the bosses and I've beat the enemies to get to where I'm at, fucking let me go. Yeah. That's my beef. If I wanted to sit and go back and like look through every possible tunnel, I would have done that on the first run through. So that's really the only real thing that particularly bugs me about the game. Otherwise, yeah, I had a good time with it. It was one of those I was like, it's simple enough that everything plays well, controls well. I didn't have any issues where I was like, hey, now I pushed the button to swap and it didn't swap. Or if I died, it was definitely my dumbass fault. The boss battles were intuitive. I can see if you were going to be like targeting a younger audience, maybe they could do an accessibility feature where the weak spot on the boss glows or has an outline or some other kind of indicator that it's the weak spot. Because if you don't like play games a lot, or if you're a young kid or whatever, just picking up the game, you might not know exactly where you need to be shooting. We all play games a fuck ton. So we see a boss and we're like, yep, we're shooting your arm, you know? The weak spot's kind of obvious. But I do think for accessibility's sake that they should have some kind of indicator for something like that. That's a quality of life thing, and maybe even might err on the side of a personal preference. But for what's there, hey, I had a good time with it, and I look forward to playing more of it. I just wish I just wish they didn't lock out progression.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either.
That's the big official gripe, and everything else is like, it could be a little, you know.
Well, then $20. What's your verdict?
Yeah, I think it deserves to buy it. I had a good time.
Cool.
I did. Yeah.
All right. Next up is a preview of sorts for CountryBalls Heroes, which was just recently delayed. Developed by Innominate Games, published by Games Operators and PlayWay, released on Steam for $14.99. CountryBalls Heroes is a game where you get to play as your favorite country ball. Become a legend by leading massive country ball armies, create your forces, build master planned cities, gather powerful artifacts, and prove that your country ball is the most powerful. Chris, how are your balls looking?
Oh no, Chris, where'd you go, bro?
Chris.
He fell asleep.
Chris went away. Pernell, did you play this one?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
He was asleep.
No, I wasn't fine, or I wasn't asleep.
He's like, I wasn't not asleep.
I started talking, and then y'all started being like, I can't hear you. And then I was like, oh no, my microphone, I must have unplugged it somehow. And so I was checking that, but what it was is that I had it muted on the Skype.
So, CountryBalls Heroes, how are your balls?
All right. I don't know, man. I don't know. They're pretty mysterious. So this game, this is a game where you play as balls. I guess they seem kind of Dodgeball-esque. I don't know. I can't tell what, like, they look like, just beach balls kind of thing. And they are basically from different countries, so they're printed with their country's flag. However, as the game warns you in a splash screen before you start, they're like, this game contains a lack of political correctness, by which they mean it's like 100% racist. Like every Mexican ball has a sombrero. Every Chinese ball has slanty eyes and like communist stuff and like, like fisherman hats and things. But it's one of those, it's like the worst comedian being like, I'm an equal opportunity offender. So like the Texas balls, they're literally called Texas balls, have cowboy hats. See, it's fair. The Irish balls have like the Lucky Charms hat, like the leprechaun hat. So it's totally fine, right? Never mind that it has Native American balls that are really bad. And also Native American is not a country. Anyways. But, the fact that you get to play through the tutorial as Trump Ball, that's got to be funny, right? Here's the thing about it, though. I was like, okay, so the game did warn me. I saw the screens before I said, yeah, let's check this out and see what this is all about. The thing that I was the most / least surprised about when I booted this up was the complete lack of jokes. There's not a single joke in the entire game. Everything is like, all the dialogue is extremely straightforward. and only like the art and the voice acting, because the voice acting it's gibberish, right? It's Sim style non words, and yet they managed to make that racist. You talk to a ball from China and tell me I'm wrong.
Oh,
I don't think I want to.
Right. But you can picture it in your head. So, okay, that's that out of the way. And so y'all are already going to know what the end of this review is going to be like. But let's talk about the gameplay. You play as balls, but what it actually is an RTS slash like it's a real-time and a tactical style RPG, because you have like your home base where you can build up buildings and, gather resources by going out into the world. There's a fog of war. So, of course, the screen is black until you go around and, uncover it. And then, you gather up your resources, money. Pretty cool little thing is that if you find a stack of money, you can choose to keep the money, because that's what you use to recruit members into your team, and but you can also just straight up change it for experience points, which experience points let you raise the level of your leader, whoever's your leader at the time. If you fall in battle, you lose your leader, so you have to make a new one. So if you lose your trump ball, then you got a pence ball waiting for you. No, there's not really a pence ball. I don't think there is anyway. But anyways, like you so when you raise levels, then you can go down skill trees, and like it raises things like the Poland style, I guess, like raises different fighting aspects, and then the UK style raises different tactical things and resource gathering things and whatnot. So you can kind of choose to do that. And like I said, you go around getting resources, and when you get the resources, you can go back to your home base. And the way movement works is that you have turns on the map, and which is odd because nothing really moves besides you. So you have turns, so you can go so far, and then your ball stops, and then you have to like click the next turn button, and then it goes, a turn happens, and then you can move again. I don't know what this passage of time really helps, but I am thinking that it's something that's a little further in the game than where I am.
So I think it's solely, at least for what I can gather, I think it's primarily for the whole income bit.
Okay.
Because you get income from like...
True, you do get residual income from your resources and stuff, and depending on like what buildings you might have conquered or something like that. And then it goes into fights, and now the fights are not real time. They occur on a hex grid that is drawn out side by side. I don't really know a game to like compare that to, but it happens on like a battlefield where you move your characters around the hex grid, and some characters are distance characters, and it's interesting because distance characters can attack any character anywhere, but the movement characters like have to move a certain amount of squares until they can get to the enemy. So, when I had a team that was mostly like distance attackers, then I just like cleaned house. So I don't know. It feels a little imbalanced there, but maybe there's some melee like stuff. Like when you can upgrade your units and stuff eventually, and so maybe that kind of balances it out. But I guess my advice, if you're going to play this weird thing, is use a lot of distance attackers at first. But anyways, its HP is represented in like unit types. So it's like you have 10 units, but really it's one unit with 10 HP kind of thing. So as you recruit more units, it basically piles on more HP onto that type of unit, and you can only take so many types with you. And so like that's kind of how it goes. It's just basically gather resources, uncover bits of the map, go and conquer stuff for more resources, and then I guess eventually you own the map or whatever. And don't let anybody walk in on you playing this.
Pernell, did you have any time with this one?
I did, and it didn't help that I was playing Fort Triumph around the same time as this game, because you want to talk about the same product but night and day in quality. There you go. But in addition to that, Yeah, kind of like how Chris was saying. It's like, and I'm going to point out, I'm going to straight up clarify, it's not even just because of the whole Trump ball thing. If the game was cool, I wouldn't give two hoots about that, despite the fact that I'm not a fan of the guy in general. But it's like Chris was saying, like the humor, quote unquote, is all in the Mexican balls have Mexican heads. like that's the humor in the game. Like,
look, there's one napping outside of their fort. He's taking a siesta. I know that. I know that is a thing.
The tutorial is even off in some ways. Like there were moments where the tutorial will like walk you through something, like for example, the idea of how to purchase units and stuff, but the purchase unit image popped up over the text explaining what you're supposed to do. So you couldn't even see it.
Does that a lot.
In addition to that, I thought one thing that was interesting was, and maybe it was me, but what I noticed was there was a scenario where sometimes you can do what's called a quick battle, I guess, where I guess the game auto calculates how you do or something.
Yeah, you can also auto battle inside the battle, and I ended up doing that most of the time because I was like, there's nothing that I can think of here that the computer's not going to think of.
But like I did the auto battle outside of the battle, like just doing it quick and see what would turn up. And maybe I died and didn't get told how to replenish my ball. But what happened was battle ended, and then my ball never came back out of the fort, and I couldn't do anything. And I went back to Philadelphia and couldn't even get. Like, I couldn't even, like, say, recruit a new leader there from what I could tell. It was just like,
you have to, here's the thing. And that's the thing is that the tutorial does not tell you about this. The most important thing in the whole game, which is that you have to build a building first. Like, it's a hero's tavern. And then you click on that once it's built. And then it's like recruit hero. And then you can recruit 2 more heroes. You know, one that you can play as and one's on standby. But other than that, you can't play the game once you lose a fight.
And I think it's funny because on one hand, I'm sure someone's listening to this and like, well, geez, man, I mean, don't you play video games? You should know this. And I'm like, maybe.
Oh, no,
however, it's a tutorial. The whole point of a tutorial is to teach you shit. So you don't get the pull that you play video games, you should know rule. If you don't like it, don't make a tutorial.
And for the fact that, like, you know, they made all these racist characters but forgot to write any jokes, like, they seriously spent a lot of time making the, like, actual building system, like, as complicated as possible. So, like, y'all worked a lot on this, and then you, like, you know, you spent 45 minutes on,
Mayo factories.
Mayo factories, yeah, and then you spent, like, 10 minutes, like, looking at a book of 1930 stereotypes, and then he spent like 5 minutes like writing jokes. And it's like,
I'll personally say, like, I didn't play this game and I have zero interest in playing this game because of Trump Ball. And just having Trump in the game, any kind of version of him in the game, makes me want nothing to do with it.
Here's the thing, though, and I didn't play long enough to make this statement myself, so maybe Chris can clarify. Depending on when the game was developed, if the idea was that every country that was represented had their actual leader as a leader ball represented in the game, then I get it. Because it'd be like, you know, well, at the time Trump was president, so he'd be the Trump ball. And then, like, you know, whoever ran, like, basically Japan's president would be the Japan leader ball. And something like that.
It's only China and that has a leader represented as a ball, and it's like a caricature of Mao Zedong. I don't think, and you know, he's been dead for decades. I don't think it's anybody current, but I could be wrong.
And if that's the case, then that's along with what Joe said, which is like, it's like, that's stupid.
They're basically America is Trump, which is disgusting because that's basically how the world sees us.
Yeah. Right. And you know, this game, I think the developer's from Canada, so you know, y'all got a lot of room to talk. Anyway,
but $15 on this one, I need a verdict.
Like, well, and I was gonna say before, I give the verdict too, is that the fact that you have Trump in your video game, that is, you know, supposed to be a not political correct, like satire, humorous, funny game. Like the fact that they don't even make fun of him. Like they don't make fun of Trump at all in this game. So yeah, of course it's a deny it for that. The actual game, it kind of just doesn't matter. Nothing was in there. Like I did keep going with it because it was like, it was compelling enough to keep me going, but there's nothing like super special in here that warrants kind of putting yourself in the position of playing this game and being amused by it. And if you're the type that is amused by this stuff, then, well, see you on Twitter, I guess.
My case, all I would say is, one, just play Fort Triumph, which I'll get to next week. But just play Fort Triumph if you really want, the style of gameplay, because that's just a better game that does almost the same thing.
Nice.
But in addition to that, it's just, this would be redeemable if the other components made it stand out in a good way, but it doesn't. Like, I just didn't like the game. And I will say this, I hate bringing this up, but I know somebody might be listening like, well, you just don't like the guy. That's why you're talking about him. But it's like, I would say this. It gives me the same feeling that game Isolation Story gave me last year on the Switch, which is that when you make a game that clearly is intended to reference or revere a specific thing, you kind of already put yourself in a position where, like, you're telling people, if you want to play this game, you're going to play it knowing that I really like this person. I want them on the cover. I want them representing it. I want them to be representative on the game. Or I want this idea, this concept represented in the game. So at that point, you're immediately telling people right there, like, if you don't like this concept or this individual, you probably don't want to buy this game. But since we're technically reviewing it, we're describing it not just from the game's perspective, but also from that character's perspective. So I stand by the belief that if there were other world leaders represented in the game, then I wouldn't think of it as like, well, you just like this one leader. But the fact that only this one leader is apparently represented and everything else is just a caricature of a leader speaks volumes right there. So, yeah, no, this game is not good. I would not pay money for it. There it is.
Yeah, Trump can eat shit. His supporters can eat shit, and
yeah. I mean, of course, that is implicit. I should have been more clear about that. But I was willing to be like, if they would have made it funny, like if the game was
even
funny,
if it was funny, the fact that Trump, a caricature is related to it. And if you go to the Steam page, the main image for the game is a stupid fucking ball with stupid fucking Trump hair and sunglasses. And I look at that and I close the page. I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. And
go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say that's the other thing is that like, with a lot of the other characters, it's like they kind of, like the Mexican stereotypes are Mexico ball, right? And the Polish one, they didn't even do anything. Like, it's just a ball that's white and red, and it's called Poland ball. But, like, for that ball, like, you could mistake it for being like...
Well, okay, Poland ball is like a meme.
Is it?
The whole Poland ball, and, like, all the balls in this game, I'm pretty sure, are based off the meme and the whole culture surrounding the meme, but...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say, but the American ball is not called America ball or President ball. It's called Trump ball. Like, they named it Trump
fuck
ball.
Trump. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to move on. The less we talk about Trump, the better. Next game to talk about is called Temple of Snek, developed by Aetheric Games, published by Pixeljam, released August 18th on Steam Early Access for $9.99. A snaky tile-based puzzle dungeon adventure. Defend the temple, monk the infidels, and grow and grow and grow and grow. Cole, tell us about your time with Temple of Snek.
You're a Snek.
Yeah, and you munch.
A Nickelodeon game?
I was playing the game and number one walked by and she backed up and she goes, "Are you a Snek?" And I said, "I am a Snek." And she said, "That's fantastic." So this is basically Snake, but like you would play on a phone, like an old Nokia phone, right? Snake. But it's 3D and it's a puzzler and it's modern looking and it looks fucking wonderful and it plays fairly well. Is it out of early access? Is it still early access?
It's releasing August 18th onto early access.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows.
This is not the full version.
That's not a bad thing. I don't mean that negatively, but there were certainly a few times where the controls were not as smooth and responsive as they could have been, and that was where I was like, I think this is an early access game.
Yeah, it is.
Which is fine. But just know that going into it, that hey, it needs a little more smoothing out.
Well, they say that it's planned to be in early access for about a year. So know that you're getting into this basically at the beginning. This is bottom floor. This is more preview than review, but
the interesting thing about that though is like I was really impressed with the game and how well it did play, even though I had some struggles with it. Like I say, it could have been a little smoother, but I was still able to play it. I was absolutely able to solve the puzzles and explore the temple and munch on the people trying to steal my monies. And so it was really like I had a good time playing it. I enjoyed it and I was able to progress in it. It did never come back and tell me I couldn't progress because I didn't have jellies. To the developers, I'm sorry, that's a throwback to an earlier part of the show. But yeah, it's I had a really good time, and when I was playing it, like I said, the only time where I was like, was when sometimes you would try to like turn a corner, and you have to really have that timing down because sometimes no matter what you do, he's just gonna hit the wall. That said, the game has a ton of checkpoints. It's really forgiving. There were accessibility options, which for a game just launching into early access to already have accessibility features, nice touch. Thank you. There was a colorblind assist. I forget what all of the colorblind options were, and I can't get to the other computer to check it, even though the game is still up because I was playing it just because I could before we even went live. I was just sitting there like, I'm gonna play some Snek. And I do want to point out too, I was really surprised at how good the game looks because I was playing it on my husband's PC. I said before, mine's giving me grief, so I was playing on his, and he only has an RX 480, which is an old card, an old graphics card, and it was playing it fine. It looked great. It was smooth. No issues, no complaints. They just need to work, as far as I'm concerned, they just need to work on the controls a little more, and I don't know what they're going to need a year for at this rate. Content,
I'm sure. Content Probably. And polishing.
Maybe. But I'm not mad about it. I'm glad they're going to keep working on it. They know what they've got. It's good. It's a good foundation.
Well, the game will be priced higher once it hits full release. So right now, as it stands, when it releases for $10, is it worth jumping in now? Should people wait, wish list it? What should people do?
Oh, absolutely. At $10, you should jump into it now. If you like puzzle games and you like Snek, like, I don't know why you're listening to me. You should already be on Steam.
Cool. All right. One final batch of games to talk about tonight. And there's a story behind them.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we previously on the show, we have covered some games from LGS Productions. Shadow the Ronin and Tai Shogun, The Rise of Emperor.
Oh.
Classics.
Yes.
Those games. My voice just broke. I just went through puberty right before y'all's ears.
Yes. We covered two of the games from LGS Productions. Randomly, a week or two ago, I got a message from a new Twitter account that sent copies of all 5 games from LGS Productions that are available on the PlayStation Store right now, and we're going to talk about all of them.
Wow.
And if you're not familiar with LGS Productions, Chris, tell us.
It goes by a different name.
Buckle up, slut puppy.
Well, we got 5 games to talk about. The first one is Spear of Destiny, the Kaiseki, developed and published by LGS Productions, released April 2017 on PS4 for $9.99. Chris, just quick rundown. What is this game?
This is a game that was written, produced, Lightning produced, and directed by, and music by Gilson B. Pontes.
Yay!
Yay! Glad you let me reveal the name.
Yes.
Okay, so what we have here is all the games from Gilson B. Pontes. And this is his first one. And here's the thing that most surprised me when I played through these, and I did. I played all of them. I now have the complete collection on my PlayStation 4, my poor cursed system.
How do you feel about that?
I have mixed feelings. I mean, it's been great April Fool's Day fodder for my stream, so that's been nice. So this is where it all began. Of course, as you know, like with all the games that are released like clockwork every year, Spear of Destiny, the Kaiseki, is where you play as a guy who runs around like just this endless expanse of just, Unity, graphics, basically, just trees with wind blowing through them, grass, and, usually the same music, and it's indescribable. And then you run until you run into a thing, and the thing will then kill you in one hit. That's the point. That's all the games. This one, however, I did not realize that this is the closest thing that dude has to an actual game. Yeah, because when you start the game, it actually tells you what to do. It tells you in just a single sentence that you need to collect all these relics that are on the map, and then collect your horse, and then I don't know, fight a boss or something. I have no idea what you do because they've already given me too much to do. And the other thing is that it doesn't have one-hit kills. It has an actual life bar. So when you get hit, you get to see that life bar drain away to almost nothing. And then, once you win, then occasionally you can actually, sometimes, even though they're hundreds of yards away and you have to run at them slowly, you can actually pick up a health pickup. And it doesn't really heal as much as the enemies take away. So it's when you pause, the pause menu actually has a breakdown of the controls and tells you what the controls are. I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. This is like the closest thing to a game. Apart from that, yeah, it's still the same thing. You run up to these relics, and again, I cannot stress enough that they are hundreds of yards away from each other. You have to run for solid minutes to find each one, and there's nothing on the way over.
It's like Shadow of the Colossus, but with less scenery.
Yes, and once you pick up one of those items, then the enemy appears, and then you have to fight them, and but they look a little different in this one. They actually look kind of cool. Again, I mean, don't play it, but this is the one.
Well, don't give us any verdicts yet. You're just talking about the games quick first. So
yeah.
The second game is Sword of Fortress, the Ono Museum, developed and published by LGS Productions, released January 2018 on PS4 for $9.99. Quick, tell us about Sword of Fortress. Okay, well, it's the same thing, but no relics anymore. This is where we start to see the Gilson B. Pontes credit spectacular, where it, he gives himself separate credits, even though he kind of bunches them all together. However, there's only 3 in the intro and then 3 more during the game. That's really, really, that's subdued. There is music in this one. For some reason, there are birds chirping much louder than the music, so you actually can't really hear the music. And there's no option to, of course, adjust any of this or change. When you pause, it does actually show you what the controls are, and none of those controls do anything having to do with the volume. You play as kind of like a knight who has a sword, but also a bow and arrow. He's always got the bow in his left hand. He doesn't use the bow. You can't use the bow. There's no reason for there to be a bow there. He only just swings the sword. And this one was great because I didn't get to find out what the combat is like, because as soon as I approached the enemy,
I was underneath him, and he started running in a circle above my head, and I couldn't hit him with the sword. Would have been great if I could have hit him with an arrow, but yeah, he glitched out completely. I took videos and stuff because he hadn't yet disabled the in-game capture in this one. And so, yeah, it's just running around even longer distances than the first game to, fight basically, things like a big knight or a dragon, and presumably get killed in one hit on each, or have them glitch out above your head.
Well, the third one is titled Samael, the Legacy of Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus, okay. I
don't know.
Well, you said it, so of course it's correct. Developed and published by LGS Productions, released January 29 on PS4 for $9.99. What is Samael, the Legacy?
Actually, I just wanted to backtrack right quick and say Spear of Destiny actually has voice acting, but it sounds like a pitched down Microsoft Sam with reverb. Anyway, Samael, Legacy of Ophiuchus. Now this is fuck us. Yeah, that's actually probably the official pronunciation. This is where things started to get things really started to go Ronin, because this is the one where it has the endless Gilson B. Pontus credits. Now I actually counted them. There's an opening movie with his name and several credits above the name 6 different times. And then once you start the game, it goes 10 different times while you're playing the game. I actually managed to die before the credits were done. This is also one of the ones that inexplicably the soundtrack is split between the TV, whatever the speakers are that the TV's coming out of, and your controller. So your controller is sitting there doing a bongo routine, just hand drums constantly, and then the TV is doing, I don't know, something, but it's so loud coming from the controller that you'd have to really crank up the TV to hear the rest of the music, and they're off sync with each other.
Nice.
Yeah. And there's no way to change that or stop it. When you pause, it just says the word pause. It doesn't even do the restart or quit thing. It just says pause. And yeah, you play as a weird night guy who in the intro movie is seen riding around on a dragon, and you start with the dragon next to you, but no button will allow you to mount the dragon and fly around. Instead, you are meant to just run around in the increasing darkness until you find an enemy that will kill you in one hit. And at certain points, the game went nearly pitch black while I was trying to run around looking at stuff. So you don't even get to look at the Unity assets. And I will say on this one, it has the best lighting effects and the coolest monsters that can kill you in one hit of the lot. But it is easily the least playable.
All right. Well, after that was the first game that you covered for us, Shadow the Ronin. Developed and published by LGS Productions, released January 2020 on PS4 for $9.99. A quick recap of that one.
Okay, so Shadow the Ronin, The Revenge to the Samurai, which is its full title, is the other one where you are basically given a ton of Gilson B. Pontus credits at the beginning, and then you actually ride your horse through the rest of the credits through an unnamed town with no people in it. No, 2 ladies who are arguing with each other that you cannot interact with. And then you go into a portal, which takes you to some other place in time where you either seek out a ninja or a dragon on the map, and they're hundreds and hundreds of yards away from you. And then they kill you in one hit. Nice. And you can actually kill the ninjas, which is great because they make a wonderful sound when they die. It's like, and it's this wonderful sound that somebody recorded in their closet or something, trying not to wake their parents. And but here's the thing about this game: if you die, if you play the game, you die, and when you die, you start off on this island, and you have to swim the full length of water to another island where you won't find the portal that takes you back to where you were, but you will find a portal that will take you somewhere else where you can repeat the whole process. And I timed it once. I believe it took 9.5 minutes to swim across to the nearest island from the hub that you wake up in. Yeah. So it's not only not only is the game like impossible to play, but you aren't even given the chance without just endless watching your guy just like swim in a full suit of armor across like, very uninspiring water with nothing in it.
Nice.
Except dragons flying up above your head that don't do anything.
At least they're there.
They're there.
Yeah. You mentioned the Ronin scream. We actually have a sound clip. Let's play that quick. Yeah, there we go. Let's do it one more time. Yeah.
Now you killed 2 ninjas. That's more than I ever did.
I just did. Yeah. And then the 5th game that we're going to talk about, Taishogun, The Rise of Emperor, developed and published by LGS Productions, released March 12th on the PS4 for $9.99. Quick recap of this one.
Okay, so this is the one where basically it's the same thing as Shadow of the Ronin, but they took the swimming back away from it, which is nice. But it's still like going into portals and ending up in some place in time. The graphics are a little different this time, but nonetheless, just it has a look. I don't know. It's a very glossy, like weird look to it. And this one is one where you actually you ride around on your horse, like rather than just riding your horse through town and then ending up on foot. Like, so you actually ride your horse, and there's even a button to swing your sword from the horse. Like that's excellent. Okay, plenty of horse related combat up above. I hated it in Skyrim, but it's here now too. And but here's the thing: every time you're in range of an enemy, your character automatically jumps off the horse. There is actually no way to use the horse in actual combat. You just jump off the horse, and then you have to like deal with your character. And they done something to the camera on this one. It's like if you try to focus, like if you try to turn to face the camera towards like what you want to fight, then your character is going to swing like kind of past it. So it's really hard to get the camera to do what you want. And yeah, that's it's improved technically over Samael and Ronin, but I mean, at what cost?
No. Well, the games are $9.99 each. There is also, believe it or not, an Epic Samurai bundle that is available for $13.99 and includes Shadow the Ronin and Taishogun together. So you're saving $6 on that. $10 each. What do you think? What's your verdict?
I mean, look, if you got a stream and you want to prank some people, like, I mean, look, even then, I'm telling you to give the guy money. Like, this guy is like, I said this in the Taishogun thing, and I guess it's what, got us blocked on Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, we were blocked on Twitter, so I honestly don't know why we were approached with codes.
More free games.
But, we're happy to give them another look, give them some more time on the show. I think it's been an interesting couple of minutes. Pernell, did you have any time to play anything?
Fucking
Pernell's checked out.
Yeah, Pernell's gone.
That's okay.
No, I'm not gone. It's just I was.
And now he's gone.
He's muted.
Is he?
He I don't know. He's muted for something.
Come on, Pernell.
Come on, Pernell. What's going on over there? Unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
We hear you.
Oh my God, this thing reading my clicks, whatever. The point is, no, I didn't play it due to time constraints, but I gotta admit, I didn't really feel bad about that. But I do believe it will be one of those things I have on the ready when it's like, I need a game to play when I really feel loaded, just to put myself double in the dumps, but in a funny way.
Yeah,
it would be there for me.
It's such a mystery. Like, it's one of those things where, and there's a lot of terrible things on the internet and outside of the internet, various books and movies and films and whatnot. Like, stuff that's like good bad. It's like it's bad, but you're intrigued. And like, so the thing that really draws on the imagination with Gilson B. Pontes is like, is this just a scam to release like an okay looking screenshot and try to sell somebody on a $10 game? Or is this person like
really trying?
Are they trying? And now the more I play the games, especially now that I played like the first 3 games, the less I'm inclined to believe that it's somebody trying their best, because they almost did it the first time and only the first time.
And it seems like they've just been regressing since.
Yeah, it's just like...
Oh, what you say that, but I mean, people talk about what they do with Sonic all the time. It's like, this one worked, so the sequel's going to be... Nope.
Like, if you look at any Sonic, no matter how bad, look at YouTube, you will find, like, fans who have beaten the game quickly, who have opinions on how it's, like, it's not so bad, even though it's, you know, it has some problems. It's like, nobody plays the Gilson B. Pontes games. No speedruns exist. Nobody's out there, like, you know, trying to make the best of it by, like, playing through them and stuff. It just seems like there's no love in... Even the Kusoge love that we all like share, and you know, showing people, hey, look at how bad the Back to the Future 1 and 2 is on the NES. You know, like different. I bought the Muppets Adventures on NES just today.
Why?
Specifically, like, look how bad this is in a fun way.
Yeah. I plan on streaming it just to be like, hey, look, this is pretty bad. I have 3 different times broken out Extreme Sports with the Berenstain Bears.
Oh, that you can't go wrong with that.
That was good, though.
It was actually all right. Yeah, it was actually all right.
No, I guess the bottom line is that nothing is really worth picking up except maybe Spear of Destiny, the Kaiseki, to see the potential that there is. I think the main message that we're seeing here is that LGS Productions, Gilson B. Pontes, has potential. It's just being wasted.
Yeah, it's like, and, you know, it can go either way, I guess. I mean, the thing about the worst games, you know, the newest 3, especially Samael, I think Ronin is the worst because of the swimming. But Samael was really, really, like, really, you expect us to play this? But, like, those are funnier. Like, it kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for the closest thing to a video game, then yeah, you can go with the first one, or you can go the other way and show people how ridiculous this stuff is. It just depends on where you're at and where your friends are at.
Well, let's have one final question.
Yeah.
One of the 5 games, which one do you pick up?
Let's see.
You got $10, you're locked in, you got to pick something up before the credit expires. Which one do you go with?
The one that was so glitched out that I didn't even die. That would be, where's my list? Oh, my phone went to sleep. I had to write these names down because I can't remember them.
Yeah, I have the list in front of me.
Sword of Fortress, the Ono Museum. Also, that one has, like, you have armor butt plates that are just, like, glitched out, so they're constantly flapping around. Yeah, that'd probably be the one.
Well, there you go. If you're gonna pick one up, check out Sword of Fortress, the Onomuseum. The others probably not worth checking out. Sword of Fortress probably not worth checking out. It does make me curious to see what we're going to see next year, because it's been yearly releases. Is he going to take time to actually put out a more polished product? I would love to see that happen. You know, take a year off and put more effort into it and make this something that you can be proud of.
Yeah, I mean, you know, or, you know, try and get everybody copyright stricken every time somebody criticizes you. You can do that too.
I don't know. We'll find out. We're just being honest here. We're not shit talking. We're just taking an honest look at the games and saying that there's potential. It's being wasted.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. Made it through. One more big thanks to Jori Ryan for coming on, chatting with us, hanging out with us. Cole, any final thoughts on things?
Nope, we did it. We survived. See y'all in a couple days.
That's helpful. Does anyone have any final words to end the show?
Well, see you next week for another procedurally generated episode of the SML podcast featuring your randomly generated list of hosts and hostesses. Good times, good games, maybe. And just in general, good vibes.
Bye, Hades.